Don't get out of the door. Have you ever looked at the moon and felt like it was looking back at you? Not just watching, but revealing. Because what if the moon isn't just a rock in the sky? What if it's a lens that reflects everything inside you? Your emotions, your thoughts, your energy. Not creating it, just exposing it. And when that light hits, you feel it. Restlessness, tension, intensity. That's not the moon controlling you. That's you being revealed. Because when your energy is eclipsed, you don't disappear. You fragment. Scattered thoughts, unfocused energy, emotions you can't explain. That's the eclipse. Not outside, inside. But then the full moon rises, and everything hidden comes to the surface, amplified, louder, heavier, harder to ignore. And most people react. They lash out, they lose control, they get pulled by the wave. But emotional intelligence, there's something different. It observes, it doesn't run, it doesn't react, it sees. Because the moment you see it, you can control it. So you center yourself, you breathe, you slow down, you come back to you. Because your energy was never out there, it was always here, inside you. So you stop outsourcing it. No validation, no permission, just a source. And when you tap into that, everything changes. Now the energy moves, you create, you build, you express, you flow. Because energy that flows transforms, but energy that's blocked explodes. So you stay aware of your cycles, your emotions, your patterns. You adjust the lens over and over and over again, until one day you realize something the moon never controls you. It never held your power, it only showed you what was already there. So don't fear the light, don't fear the intensity. That's not weakness, that's exposure, that's true, that's your energy. Trying to break free. So observe it, center it, draw from yourself, and let it flow. Because your power was never missing. It was only eclipsed. Make all the beats quiet. We were built to thrive. I doubt all I know keeps you up at night. Make all the beats quiet. We were built to thrive.
All right, here we go. Welcome to Wednesday night. I thought it was Thursday somehow, but we had some connection drama a little earlier, but we're here, baby. We are coming to you wall to wall, treetop tall, coast to coast, border to border, and beyond. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian whistleblower, and I'm saluting you for being here seeking after truth. Tonight, on Not Your Normal Wednesday service, we've got Jesus. Is he the divine trickster? Big stuff tonight. We got your calls. We got a lot of good stuff going on. But let's get started. And I want to thank Mark. Mark just sent a great $100 donation. And Mark, I always need it. I always enjoy it. But I'm at a place where I need it even more now. So thank you very much for stepping up. And you see the little asterisk there. Every time we get $100 from Sunday and Wednesday, we'll do a bonus D program. It'll be Thursday or Friday. I'll let you know. And Mark has put us over the hump. So this week we will have a bonus D program. I'm excited about that. We're always here on Sunday. We're always here on Wednesday. But when we get over 100, we'll throw in a bonus D program. So that's what we're going to do this time. And as you saw, I do have the rods. If you want a rod question answered, it has to be a yes or no question. You see the new books available. You see where the book is available at. It's a fantastic book. I'm 200 pages deep in the next one. So let's go ahead and give you the wherefores on the rods. If you have a rods question, just go ahead and put it in all capitals in the chat. Hopefully, I'll see it and we'll get to your rods questions that way. They just have to be yes or no. Just yes or no, just to show you how it works. Is Jeff wearing a pink jacket tonight? No, he's not. It's not outside the realm of possibility, but I'm not. Is this rod time? Yes, it is. That's how the rods work. So if you have a rods question, throw them in the chat, all caps. 7:45 warm up and 8 o'clock start time for all of our D programs so far. All right. So that's the rods. They're ready. Again, put your thing in all caps, your question, and I will get to it. And if you want your own rods, the information is on the screen. I make them all by hand. I got one bounce back to me. I'll get that one back out. Sorry about that. I messed up. It wasn't your fault. So that's how you can get your rods. All right, let's press on with pride.
I'm so sorry, dude. I only have $100 for the pizza. Can I trust you to bring back the change?
I mean, you said you only have 100?
This is the only thing I have. This is for me and my kids. This is the only thing I have. Are you sure? I can trust you with it, man? All right, I'll be right here, okay? Oh my God. Hey, man. Hey, thank you so much, brother.
Whoa.
Wait. You didn't take anything, man?
No, I didn't take anything at all.
What's your name?
My name's Don.
Don. Do you want to have a slice with me, man?
Yeah, why not? I just got to need some cheese curds.
Cheese curds, man. Yeah, well, look, no, I'm good. I want to know, why didn't you want to take this money? I think a lot of people would easily take $100 for themselves, man.
I mean, some people would, but honestly, I just got this job here. I'm lucky to even have this job right now. I just can't risk it, and you're a good guy, and I don't know. I love pizza just like you do, apparently. I just wouldn't want nobody to do that to me.
Is this your only job?
No, I actually work 2 jobs. I work here Monday through Friday, and then on the weekends I work at another pizza spot.
2 jobs? What are you working so hard for, man?
Holidays are coming up right now. We got Christmas and Thanksgiving and stuff like that, and I'm just trying to give my little one a great holiday. That's about it.
Oh, so is it just you at home, or?
Yeah. Mom ended up going to the military, and I'm kind of at home to be a stay-at-home dad and take care of the little one. So just try to show them that even though mom isn't there, I am.
Yeah. And has it been tough for you?
Oh man, it's been hard. I never thought that I'd be like in a situation to quote unquote be a single father, but it's more. I don't know. It's great because I get to spend time with my kid and just work hard and keeps me busy.
And so, what was your name again, man? Don.
Yeah.
Don, if you mind me asking you, when was the last time that you received a blessing of any sorts?
My blessing, honestly, the most recent blessing was getting the job, but every day is a blessing to me. Every day I get to wake up and see my son and make sure that he's happy, and it's a good thing.
And do you have enough to get him a gift this holiday season?
Right now, no, I haven't got enough. We're supposed to be getting him a dog, but dogs are expensive nowadays. So I think that dog's like $3,000.
Look,
crazy.
Don, I just want to let you know I was testing this entire time. See, I have a camera right here, and I'm filming a video because I wanted to show to people that there is still honest people out there, and I want to give you a little holiday gift of my own.
Okay. Thank you. Like cologne or something?
No, go ahead and open it up now. That right there inside, it's $4,000 in cash for you.
No.
That's for you.
No way.
No, dude, that's for you.
Did my boss tell you to do this?
No, I make these videos and I'm lucky enough to bless people every single day. God bless you, man, okay?
Man, that gets me every time. That gets me every time. And I know I take a lot of crap, including people in the chat right now. But, man, there are good people of all races. And not this guy because he's got the Jesus shirt on, but There's good people of all races that are sick and tired of this fear and guilt, Judeo-Christian, blood magic, mind control matrix. And I want to see these people optimize their races. I want to help optimize our race. And when all the races are optimized, then we can go ahead and march on those that have been keeping us down. And man, it still gets me. It still gets me. So, yes, we are not alone. There's good people everywhere. I missed a couple of Rod questions. Let's go back and grab them real quick. Let's see. Is that video about Donald Trump going against the woke agenda? No, that's just, another part of the deception. Is Jesus what allows tares to be planted? Is Jesus what allows tares to be planted? Yes. And we're going to talk a lot about Jesus tonight. Mark asks, will evil be defeated within the next year? Ooh, the rods say yes. I'm down with that. I'm down with that. I think we're complete and caught up with the rod questions. And I know I take crap from people, but I've seen too many good people of all races, and I've seen a lot of white trash too. So come on, man. Come on. That's my story. I'm sticking to it, and you can say what you want about it.
Don't miss the end. It's a dog, ain't it? We hungry? Oh! Oh, you gotta get out of here. Oh, he gotta go.
Thankfully, Barkley hasn't learned how to do that yet, but she is good at coming and waking me up. We like to start off with some good thoughts. We like to get a little bit of fun in there because we do have a real big and a deep program tonight, kind of a hardcore deep program. So another Rod question. Are Jesus and Lucifer the same person? The Rods say no. And I would concur with that on an esoteric level. Okay, let's keep moving on, baby.
The following
Watch
video
this.
is probably one
This
of the
is
most
why I've got
important
nicotine
that you will
patches in my
watch
mouth.
in today's world. Rafa Calvin from La Quinta Columna is looking at dental anesthetic at 100 times magnification. You will see the nanotechnology, the microchips that self-assemble, and we've already seen those in the Pfizer vaccine and other injectables. Rafa has dried out the sample for 30 days, and then he is looking at the sample under 100 times magnification. You will see hundreds of nanotechnology and microtech. Rafa then mixed 1 gram of tobacco in 5 cc's of distilled water and let it steep. He then puts a small amount of the tobacco in the water mix
This is deep.
with a pipette onto a slide on top of the dental anesthetic. You can now see that the nanotech is totally destroyed by the nicotine mixture. Dr. Brian Ardis stated that nicotine was the very thing that could destroy nanotechnology. Rafa has confirmed exactly that. Please share this video everywhere.
That is some pretty profound stuff. That's why I've got these nicotine pouches. Well, that's why I started with these nicotine pouches. They also are great for cutting your hunger. I'm a 1 meal a day keto guy, and I weigh less than I did when I got out of the Air Force, about the same back in 1987. So it really has been a profound thing for me. If you want to try those, shoot me an email. I'll send you a link that gives you a great discount on nicotine pouches. Let's roll on. Oh, Charles sent me this. And, I'm the OG of this Christian disclosure movement. I've been doing this now 12 years. And people are catching up. And I guess they're smarter than me and they're less shadow banned than me. And in her case, hotter than me, even though she's AI. Now we got people coming out with the top 10 Christian teachings, the mass delusion and illusion of Christian religious conditioning. So I'm the OG of this, baby. I'm the OG of this. But, a lot of people are catching on. A lot of people are catching on.
Don't exist. It's all completely fake, according to this guy. Y'all like the video, and let's find out why.
Because if you go to Hiroshima or Nagasaki, you'll see that there is no radiation poisoning lingering. In fact, right after the bomb was dropped, they rebuilt the cities, right after the nuclear fallout. So it doesn't really make any sense to me if supposedly it is supposed to be uninhabitable for decades or even centuries after the nuclear blast. Not only that, but did you know that Japan was being heavily firebombed throughout the entire war during World War II?
What the heck, really?
And Tokyo was absolutely devastated by a firebombing. Well, if you pay very close attention to what Tokyo looks like and then compare it to what Nagasaki and Hiroshima look like, it's exactly the same.
Pretty much the same.
This is Hiroshima.
So I'm convinced that this whole idea of the bomb is part of the fear and guilt, Judeo-Christian, blood magic, mind control network. They're the one that empowers us. And as Dagger says, they're just trying to keep us in fear. They're just trying to keep us afraid. Why? Well, because their God said that fearing him is the beginning of all wisdom. And that is exactly opposite. And by the way, they did the same thing to Dresden, Germany. Never forget that. Let's roll on.
Best way to gain control of the most intelligent, powerful species on the planet would be to completely divide them from the love within themselves. As soon as they are old enough to begin creating an understanding of who they are, force them into a system that teaches them that it is wrong to be yourself if yourself is different from what is accepted as normal. Confuse them about their own biological makeup so that they think that permanently altering their body is the answer to happiness. Require their daily attendance at an institution that makes them focus only on the information that is provided. Make them attend that institution from age 5 until an adult and repeatedly test them on the information so that it becomes their truth. Give them an explanation to everything so that they never have a chance to make their own assumptions of the world. Scold them and humiliate them if they suggest an opinion that opposes that of their authorities. Keep reminding them of how cruel their ancestors were to each other in the past and broadcast how cruel they are to each other in the present. Only show them tragedies on the news so that they live in fear and think the worst of one another.
It exactly parallels the Judeo-Christian narrative. You're a sinner. The best you can hope for is to be saved by grace. And if you don't bow the knee, you go to the hot, everlasting, burning place. To me, that sounds psychopathic. But that's just me, not trying to tell you what to think, just trying to get you to think. Got to start this one.
I want everyone to know that I was at this church event for singles and like singleness and like how to learn how to date, etc. And this was like the final session, and I'm walking out with this guy that I thought was cute, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna say something. So I said, hey, I really like your mustache. And he looked at me, he said thank you, and then we continued to walk in the same direction for 3 minutes, and he said nothing else. So I am going to sit the next couple plays out and just really marinate on how that made me feel.
Let me help her out. Here's the problem. The problem is that still in this country, about half of the people, I'm in the United States, I'm coming to you from an undisclosed location deep in the heartland of America. And the problem is that still about half the people. Now, when I started my work 12 years ago, that was about 70% of the people. Have I brought it from 70 to 50? I'm probably not solely responsible, but I get some of that credit. But at least half these guys are still Christians, and Christians got no game. How could these guys have any game when they are taught from Galatians 3:28 that there is no male and female, there are no races, everybody's one? And how can a guy that is doing his best to be part of the bride of Christ, do you know what happens to brides on the wedding night? I mean, the Bible even tells you that you'll be dressed up like a bride adorned for her husband. Dudes, what do brides wear to weddings? Come on, man. Come on, man. That's why guys got no game, because they're working on trying to be brides. It's hard to be a man when you're trying to be a bride. I mean, come on, guys. You know, I'm being a little sarcastic, but I'm telling the truth. I'm telling the truth anyhow. And there's just so many Christian absurdities. I just don't understand it.
Okay, trending tonight, going out to dinner with your kids can be challenging. We're learning about a restaurant near San Francisco getting a lot of attention for its strict policy about kids. Kevin Coe spoke with the owner about why he did it.
Chez Shui means House of Shui in French. Located in Foster City, run by Yo-Yo Shui and his family.
I see inviting people like you to my restaurant as inviting my guests and into my home. I expect people to treat that with the respect that visiting someone's home would entail.
So imagine your home eating dinner.
There's a child lying there getting changed, getting their diapers changed, right next to another customer who looked mortified.
The sight and smell ruined most appetites that night, but it was just one of several incidents Shui paid the price for. That's why he implemented this new policy, shown on their menu. It asks parents to ensure children remain seated, and any unruly behavior could get the whole table kicked out. Parents are also financially liable for all damage caused by their children. One incident cost a parent $327 for a smashed credit card machine, while another for about $5 after a kid smashed a teacup on the ground.
It's about the principle. I have $5. It's not about that $5 broken teacup. It's about the fact that you came into here not respecting the rules. You let your child play around. They cause some sort of damage. You should be directly responsible. A lot of people very quietly tell me that they support this policy because they don't want to be seen as nosy or disruptive to other parents.
That's not the case for Jacqueline Grubb, who came to the restaurant for the first time after learning about the policy.
So when someone actually stands up and says something like this, it's admirable.
When I was growing up, we were taught and we were conditioned to say, if you embarrass me when we go out, I'm going to embarrass you when we get home and while we out. When we were being raised, Mama said, and I don't care if we was just going over to somebody else's house. Mama said, if you act a fool and embarrass me when you out, I'm going to embarrass you when we get home. Now, when we was at home, we was out of control because we had the autonomy to do what we wanted to do. We was hooping, we was fighting, we was getting into all kind of nonsense. But when we went out with Mama and Daddy, all of the parents would have to say, oh my God, your kids are so well behaved. And somewhere along the line, we lost that because we started getting into gentle parenting. We start getting politically correct. We start saying that you couldn't discipline your kids in public.
That's some nonsense. But once again, there are people of all races that get it. There's people of all races that are tired of the nonsense. And when we go out and act a fool against other races, it just makes us look bad. And it doesn't help us win this war against the true oppressors of all of humanity. I say this a lot, but we live on a plantation. And the people that are in the big house up on top of the hill, they got us all in our own slave plantations. You got a black slave house, a white slave house, red, yellow, brown slave houses. And the key to the game is keeping the slaves fighting each other. But what happens if the slaves wake up and realize, wait a minute, why am I fighting you? Why am I fighting you? If we could all optimize ourselves, get together, and march as one against the people that are dominating us, there wouldn't even be a fight because they're cowards and they would run before we got halfway up the hill. After we take our earth back, then we can sit down and dictate terms, decide who gets to go where. I'm for the optimization of all races. And if you don't like that, well, then you'll just have to learn to deal with me or not. But I'm not going anywhere, and I'm just getting started.
I want to serve you guys a technique that is basically laws. This is something that all human beings did in the past, but now we're no longer doing it. And it's really stopping us from strengthening our bodies. Exercises like push-ups or crunches or bench pressing, all those exercise does, it just burns out your muscles. It tears your muscles up. It damages your muscles. That's why you feel the burn. Guys, you should never feel the burn. That should never be your goal, to feel the burn. Instead, you should feel pressure. You should feel your body pressurizing itself. You should feel your body growing. You should feel your body love. One of the problems with modern fitness, we don't teach people about the nature of the body. Nobody knows how to stretch the body. And guys, this is one of the stretches of the body. Have your arms outstretched. It's one of the original ways you can stretch all of your organs. This is something that I would like y'all to do to help strengthen your body. What we're doing is we're stretching our bodies and we're also holding the stretch. This both relaxes our body, it stretches our body, it strengthens our muscles, and it encourages an energy flow. So all you have to do is very simple. This is something that all human beings did at one point. Hug a tree. You hear it all the time, guys. It's simple. All you gotta do is grab onto the tree. So as you can see, guys, I'm withstanding gravity. I'm engaging my back, my arms, my legs. My whole body's being engaged right now. Now, this exercise is a lot better than doing push-ups or all those other exercises because it separates your body. It's like you're cutting off your arms to do an exercise, or you're cutting off your legs just to do an exercise. But hugging a tree, it enables you to use your whole body. Everything is being strengthened at the same time.
I did this yesterday. It ain't as easy as it looks. We've got to learn the value of functional fitness. I also started with dead wolf resistance encouragement, my HEMA training, my historic European martial arts. So let's get functionally fit and let's be ready for come what may. And if you don't want to do it, then you don't have to do it. That's it. That's all right. I'm just trying to help you out. I can lead horses to water. I can't make them drink. I can lead people to good information, but I can't make you think.
What if I told you that there's a level of consciousness so rare, so powerful, that when an empath reaches it, they become virtually untouchable? Stay with me, because what ancient philosophy reveals about this transformation will completely shatter everything you thought you knew about spiritual evolution. You see, people think empaths are stuck in an endless cycle of feeling, absorbing and suffering. But there's a stage beyond empathy that most people never even know exists, and it's absolutely terrifying for anyone who's ever tried to manipulate them. Here's what most people don't understand about the Sophia stage, and trust me, by the end of this you'll never underestimate a spiritually awakened empath again. In ancient Greek philosophy, Sophia means divine wisdom, not knowledge, not intelligence, but wisdom that comes from the soul itself. It's the highest form of understanding that a human being can achieve, and when an empath reaches this level, something unprecedented happens. They don't just feel anymore, they know. But here's where it gets absolutely fascinating and, frankly, game-changing. According to ancient wisdom traditions, most people operate from 3 levels of consciousness. The first is instinct, pure survival. The second is emotion, reactive feeling. The third is intellect, logical thinking. But there's a fourth level that only the spiritually evolved ever reach, Sophia. Divine wisdom born from integrated experience, and empaths who've been through hell and back. They're fast-tracked to this level whether they want it or not. Listen carefully to what happens when an empath enters the Sophia stage, because this is where everything you thought you knew about empathy gets turned completely upside down. The empath in Sophia stage stops absorbing emotions and starts transmuting them. They don't take on your pain anymore, they see through it. They don't carry your burden, they illuminate the path for you to carry it yourself. This isn't coldness, it's what the ancient philosophers called enlightened detachment. They've learned the difference between compassion and codependency, between helping and enabling, between loving someone and losing themselves in someone. But here's the twist that will blow your mind. This transformation doesn't happen through meditation retreats or spiritual books. It happens through betrayal, through manipulation, through being pushed so far past their limits that they have no choice but to evolve or break completely. And empaths, they don't break, they transform. According to ancient wisdom, Sophia is achieved when someone integrates three sacred elements: knowledge of the self, knowledge of others, and knowledge of universal truth.
There's somebody out there that needed to hear that. That is really, really good stuff. I try to throw out some stuff that you can pick up and use right away. Boom, rubber on the meets the road, baby. That's what I'm all about.
All right, howdy ho, Winslows. Local pain in the ass back again. Now, most of us out here, when we read 1984, we read it and come away with the notion that it's a warning. For some reason, when y'all politicians read it, you take it as a do-it-yourself manual. So in honor of the Orwellians present, this one's for you. Sitting at home and you get a ticket in the mail for a crime you didn't commit because the local overlords put AI on the light pole. Govern me harder, Daddy. You work hard, get married, and buy a house. Then your mortgage becomes unaffordable because the mayor wants to raise your property taxes to pay for his developer donors' infrastructure costs. Govern me harder, Daddy. The police in your town decide to become reliant on Clearview AI facial recognition, which lands you in jail for 4 states over, for months at a time because their computer misidentified you. Govern me harder, Daddy. Government becomes a bunch of peeping toms, using flock cameras to dragnet massive amounts of location data from its citizens without their consent. Govern me harder, Daddy. Your city decides to put AI cameras on garbage trucks to scan your yard for code violations. Govern me harder, Daddy. When a gaggle of feral teens with zero parental care in their lives riots in our town, and instead of arresting them, we let them walk, we talk about curfews that affect the law-abiding. Govern me harder, Daddy. When the residential lord of the fief wants to build a $200 million Metroplex entertainment center using your hard-earned tax money and then charge you to enter it, govern me harder, Daddy. The local constituency comes together in political unity to tell a bunch of bureaucratic hobgoblins that we don't want data centers in our town, and these goblins come back with weak-ass half measures that do nothing. Govern me harder, Daddy. When your politicians run on fiscal responsibility, conservatism, and small government, and then turn around and does the opposite, like what's happening all over Florida, govern me harder, Daddy. When your elected officials forget that they are public servants and not lords of a fief by ignoring the people and treating us like tax cattle, govern me harder, Daddy. When your government taxes the living shit out of you to usher in wave after wave of transplants to replace you, while simultaneously erecting a massive surveillance network to watch you when you resist their tyranny, you're getting governed pretty hard by Big Daddy government. Thank you.
Let me know what you think about this in the comment section.
What if I told you you're getting governed pretty hard by Daddy Jesus too? Govern me harder, Daddy Jesus. Do you know right now, if you go to a church that probably has more than 100 people in it, most of those churches now have Chinese Palantir level surveillance in them, facial recognition, data scraping. You walk in the door, they see your face, they access all of your social media, probably beyond that. And it's happening in every single big church in the United States of America tonight. These people going to the regular Sunday night service, the regular Wednesday service, they're getting surveilled by Big Daddy. Govern me harder, Daddy Jesus. And you Christians don't know about that. And unfortunately, most of you that do know now aren't going to listen anyway. But if the church is so great, then why are they doing just like the CCP and Palantir? What the hell is going on, and why are you still bowing the knee to the Judeo-Christian fear and guilt, blood magic, mind control, matrix? I don't know, but I'm doing everything I can to let you know what you need to know to decide if you still want to make these bad decisions. Oh, I hate the flock cameras, but I love them when I walk in to Jesus's house and they're right there too. Come on, man.
How do you know that you're on your path? Because it disappears. That's how you know. How do you know that you're really doing something radical? Because you can't see where you're going. That's how you know. But everything you have lent on for your identity has gone. And so you are going to enter the black contemplative splendors of self-doubt at the same time as you're setting out on this radical new path. So you need to know how you know where you are. Poetry shows how incredibly precise it is in there. It was a story that would be told to a young boy or girl that would ask the question, what do I do when I'm lost in the forest? Here's the answer that the elder gives. You can feel from this how precise the teaching is. The elder says, stand still. The trees ahead and bushes beside you are not lost. Stand still. What do I do when I'm lost in the forest? Stand still. The trees ahead and bushes beside you are not lost. Wherever you are is called here, and you must treat it as a powerful stranger, must ask permission to know it and be known. Listen. The forest breathes. It whispers, I have made this place around you. If you leave it, you may come back again, saying, here. Stand still. The forest knows where you are. You must let it find you. See, what's astonishing about that poem is you can say, there are three things in this poem, you see, that are absolutely clear. First of all, the elder says, you cannot sleepwalk your way into your destiny. You must wake up and pay attention. Stand still. The trees ahead and bushes beside you are not lost. You must pay attention. Second stage is that in this teaching from the elder is this incredible feeling of silence. That unless you have this silence in your life, and you feel the silence in the poem, where he says, if you leave it, you may come back again, saying, here. And I think what the elder is saying there is that if you pay real attention, unless you have silence, an ability for silence in your body to do that, then you will get too frightened. Because all the voices inside you will drown out any real change. You have 100 reasons not to make any real change, you see. And you've got all the voices and all the reasons not to do it. And so the ability for profound silence is being called on here. And then that attention can flower into something else.
The poem seems to be attempting to awaken a kind of intuitive sense.
That's right. And then this amazing...
And I know I get on this too often, but so many of you, before your feet hit the floor, you've got a phone in your hand, you've got a TV on in the background, you've got music on in the background, you walk out the door after choking down some Post Toasties to drive in a car where you immediately turn on the music, to go to a job that you hate where they're playing background music, and then you get home and as soon as your keys hit the dish, you pick up the remote and turn on the TV for background sound, or you got the phone on again for background sound. How do you ever expect to hear from divinity when you're hearing from everything else? Everything else. Now, surely this is a call-in show, not a write-in show, and you're wrong. I spent 25 years as a Christian minister. I have a Bible college degree. I have 200,000 hours of study in the Greek and the Hebrew. And that is not what Lord means. You are wrong. And if you want to discuss it, I'd ask you to call in, because you're wrong and you just can't come in and do drive-by evangelism nonsense. This is not a write-in deprogram. This is a call-in deprogram. And with that, I'll take a really quick, short break here, and I will open up the phone lines. But I won't answer your call unless you put in the chat what your question is. We do open the lines later, but I'm not going to open them to you now unless you're willing to put in the chat what your question is, and then I can evaluate its worth, I guess, and see if it'll fit into the D program. So let's go ahead and roll along, but you've got to get yourself into some contemplative silence. That guy is 100% right. And once you do it, you'll know what I mean. Once you do it, you'll know what I mean.
Christianity was forced on Scandinavia. That's okay. It doesn't mean we hate Christians. It just means that we can read at a third grade level if we know this, which I thought we could all do. But with comments like these, I'm going to have to keep making videos like this, even though I'm tired of it. Denmark, converted by a monk holding a red-hot iron, Harald Bluetooth forces his people to be baptized and prohibits pagan worship. Norway. Oh, just Olav Tryggvason doing what he does best, torturing and killing anyone who won't convert. Olav the Saint, going on a grand tour of Norway with his army and weapons, converting village by village with threat of violence. Iceland, Olav Tryggvason again, threatens to invade them if they don't convert. Sweden, oh, just launching a crusade on their own people. Wonderful. We can go on and on with things that violate the Geneva Convention. Charlemagne destroys Irminsul in the Saxon Wars and beheads 4,500 Saxons in one day, men, women, and children who don't want to be Christian. Frisians, Boniface cuts down their sacred oak and forcefully baptizes them. We can go on and on all day. Dozens of these accounts exist. They're not just a few rare examples of violent conflicts. No, it's 1,000 years of oppression by force, 18 plus law codes, hundreds of clauses prohibiting anything pagan with fines, exile, execution, still being in practice and enforced until the 19th century. Does that sound like a people who converted willingly? Debate closed. That's the end of it. However, and this is where the pagans get mad at me as well, Christianity and paganism should and could have coexisted if they had actually followed the word of Jesus instead of the ethnic cleansing rulers of the Middle Ages. If they did this, we would be a utopia and we would have discovered space centuries ago. But even after all that, I still believe Christianity was a positive thing very often back then.
How do you drop those facts and then retreat? You know how? Because you're trying to make money. And then Charlie Kirk gets on, and they've scrubbed this from the internet. I searched for at least an hour for it. Charlie Kirk saying Christianity was a religion of peace and nobody ever got forced to convert to Christianity. Charlie Kirk isn't stupid. He knows the truth, but he knows you're stupid. And you'll believe anything that comes from behind a pulpit. And this guy owes all of us an apology. He started out good, and then he wants to protect his subscriber base, and he wants to make sure he gets clicks, and he wants to make sure he doesn't have to work a real job like me. So the hell with him. Stop compromising. Stop compromising. Look where it's got us. And until we get rid of that virus, we won't get out of this thing. We won't get out of this thing.
Hello, how are you?
Good. My name is Nick.
Charlie
I'm an
Kirk.
aerospace engineering student here. Got a couple questions.
Awesome.
That's all right. So I'm particularly concerned about your brand of Christianity. As a Christian myself, Christian nationalism I do not agree with at all. I think it's antithetical to the values of the early church. And I think, how do you reconcile especially white Christians in this America, marrying politics and power with their faith in this country?
There's a lot there. I've never described myself as a Christian nationalist. So I'm a Christian and a nationalist, so I've never used those two
And then right there, that and nationalist, where in the scriptures does a Christian...
Well, thank you. Jeremiah 29:7, demand the welfare of the nation that you are in because your welfare is tied to your nation's welfare. Let me continue.
That nation
Daniel
was
fasted and prayed for his
Israel.
nation. Esther and Mordecai cared for their nation. They were counsel to the king.
Right.
Nehemiah, Jeremiah, Joseph,
Israel.
Jacob. I can keep on going. Moses, Aaron. In fact, Moses
Israel.
was so political that he wrote an entire book of the Torah all about how to set up a government. It's the book of Deuteronomy. So, in fact, the Bible is an explicitly political text amongst many other things.
For
Can we
Israel.
interpret those texts in the light of the revelation of Christ? Because you just cited all Old Testament texts, but you've not once cited St. Paul.
Okay, yeah. If you want me to also, by the way, just so we are
cite St. Paul about the kingdom of heaven and the governance.
Just so we're clear, do you think that the New Testament is greater than the Old Testament?
It is. It is greater because the revelation of Christ dictates how we interpret the Old Testament.
So you think that all of a sudden, like Genesis 1 is not as great just because of the New Testament?
The Old Testament was a type and shadow of the things to come, and now we live in the full revelation of Christ.
Again, that
is by definition
that is such
lesser.
a dangerous theological.
That's not true. That's Christological theology.
Hold on. Of course, I believe in the resurrection, but to all of a sudden say that, like, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, is like somehow lesser because of the revelation of the New Testament. Christ even said, "I did not come to abolish the law of the prophets; I came to fulfill the law." In fact, he said all the laws of the prophet hang on the two teachings, Leviticus 19 and Deuteronomy 3-5. However, to use a New Testament example, as you asked, it says in 1 Timothy, "Pray for your leaders in authority by name, that they might make righteous and great decisions." I'm going to continue. Christ our Lord said, "On this rock build my" what?
Church.
Wrong. Ecclesia. It's not the word church.
Okay,
the word
English
church,
translations of Common Bible say church, so my bad.
well, actually, it shouldn't, because the original Greek term says, "On this rock build my government structure." Ecclesia was a secular word used in that time, which was all about the advancement of freedom and liberty, which are the two words in Greek, eleutheria, isonomia.
I get so mad I could spit listening to this guy. I get so mad I could spit listening to this guy. He says he's not a Christian nationalist, and yet he says, and he misdefines ecclesia, that's not what it means. He says that it means to establish a government. That's Christian nationalism. He knew what he was saying, he knows what he is saying, and he's a liar. And you ought to wake up to that fact.
Christianity ruined my life. So if you're a Christian or if you're planning on becoming a Christian, please take it upon yourself to be educated by somebody whose entire life revolved around the religion. I was born into a Christian family and put through Christian schools, and when I was about 12, I decided that I was going to be a preacher, so I started writing prayers to Jesus Christ every single night for about 4 years straight until I was about 16. I had a 1,000 Bible app streak, and I read the Bible cover to cover 5 times, so much so that I can quote it from memory. Not self-seeking, love is not delight in evil, but it rejoices with the truth. It always protects, it always trusts, it always hopes, it always perseveres. Love never fails, but where there are prophecies, it will cease, where there are tongues, it will disappear. The reason I know these verses is because my family would force me to walk in a circle around the house quoting them nonstop every day for about an hour, and if I didn't do that, then I would be, quote, filled with demonic spirits and have to be exorcised. And there were multiple times I was actually exorcised for questioning the Bible. And I understand that's not the Christian norm, and that's a bit of religious extremism, but hang on with me for a second. On my bus ride to Christian schools, I would listen to 2 sermons by Dr. Tony Evans or Michael Youssef. This was around the time that I began studying the different denominations of Christianity, such as Catholicism, Orthodoxy, and what makes them different, such as what they judge based off works or faith or grace or whatever have you. I also started studying the Trinity, the Transfiguration, the incarnate Christ, predestination, literalism versus metaphorical understanding, major versus minor prophets, canonical versus not canonical books, and many different things about other Abrahamic religions as well, just so I could ensure that my framework of understanding Christianity and the universe was logically sound and therefore objectively true, so I could preach it, because I wanted to be a preacher, and a preacher preaches what is true. I detested atheists who in my mind were willingly against God, and when I got home from studying theology that confirmed this rationale all day, I played worship songs with my family and led my family in a nightly Bible reading and prayer before I headed off to my room, happily dedicating another page in my prayer journal for Jesus Christ before I woke up and started the whole cycle over the next day. And I was very happy doing this. I didn't want anything else to happen in my life. So these are the prayer journals. As you can see, I mean, they're completely filled. They all start with Dear God and end with an Amen. And as you can see, this just took up my entire life. All I wanted to do was to be a preacher and advance the kingdom of God because I loved God. And I was told that following God would be the most good thing to do with my life. So the church that baptized me had a preacher who raped a 12-year-old girl and then only served 6 months in jail. He was on Trump's spiritual advisory team, and now he lives in excessive, extraordinary luxury, and he's free. So leaving the faith became a necessary action in my life when undergoing the pursuit of truth, which is all that matters. When I presented these questions and these problems with Christianity to my family, they kicked me out, and I was homeless for months, and then eventually I ended up in a psych ward at some point, and shit just got worse and worse worse and worse and worse. I dedicated my life to becoming a preacher. I studied every single day happily because I wanted to be a preacher. But I cannot be a preacher if the God that I am preaching of is not true to begin with.
This kid's been really, really church hurt.
This kid reminds me of somebody. This kid reminds me of somebody. Oh, it's me. He reminds me of me. Way to go, bro.
I've seen all of them drink human blood and consume human flesh.
They go to church.
They have their own goblets in which they have blood, and these goblets are encrusted with jewels. And they also have their own daggers, and that the dagger goes into the goblet. Wear these robes, but they don't wear anything underneath the robes, because what is going to happen, what the rituals are all about, they're going to shapeshift, and they can't have anything on under the robes. And there are orgy kind of things that go on at the rituals also. And
involving the royal family of Britain.
Yes, involving the royal family of Britain, and the sacrifice and the eating of, consuming the sacrifice, and they are involved in that.
I better get off of that. But every day, thousands, probably even hundreds of thousands of times in Christian churches, you've got the ritual consumption of human flesh and the ritual drinking of human blood. Oh, but Jeff, only the Catholics admit that it's flesh and blood. We Protestants, we just say it's symbolic. So let me get this right. It's okay to symbolically eat flesh. It's okay to symbolically drink blood. You wonder why things are the way they are. You call yourself a truth seeker, but you won't seek the truth in the greatest mind control matrix of them all. I'm trying to slap you out of it.
I've seen all of them drink.
There's a detail from the movie I think that a lot of people don't even notice. Truman was the first baby legally adopted by a corporation. It's said in the movie. They picked him out of 6 unwanted pregnancies because he was born on cue. His first win in the ratings was showing up on schedule. A company owned a human being from its first breath. It broadcast the birth live, and the world's response was to subscribe. Nobody marched, nobody sued, no lawsuits. They tuned in. It's a corporation owning a baby, and the world just subscribed. So what is the whole thing for? What is the Truman Show for? The product placement in the Truman Show is a joke until it's not. Truman's wife would hold up some box of cocoa and read the label to a camera that he can't see. And the first time it's kind of funny. You know, we laugh at it. And the second time we notice what we're looking at, that his life is for sale. The marriage is fake. The fear is basically just inventory. And the coffee is just inventory. Even the audience crying about him is inventory. They cry during the show, and they buy the products during the commercial breaks. The comfort here is the bait. There's one incredible, incisive line here from the man who runs this entire show, and his name's Christoph, which is a play on the word Christ, or on the name Christ. We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented.
It's as simple as that.
He thinks he's describing his prisoner, Truman. He's describing the audience. So think about the rectangle that you grabbed this morning before your eyes were all the way open. A war, a recipe, a dead kid, a workout, some skincare ad, someone crying in a parked car, 90 seconds, all of it. And we call that staying informed. That is weather.
We're going to be accessing the weather program.
That is the manufactured, emotional weather that you saw in the Truman Show. And it never has to sell you one big-ass lie. It feeds you these small little pellets. There's an outrage pellet. Here's a fear pellet. Here's belonging and enemy. So 200 small instructions about what to feel before you even get to lunch. And people still believe that their thoughts are theirs.
I'm trying to help you out. Some of you think I'm trying to just tick you off. But sometimes you get to the place where the only thing that can help you out is to tick you off, so you get mad enough to try to start studying to prove me wrong. That's what Shirley's going to do. And she'll be a cousin before long. She'll be a cousin before long. I'm House M. Div, Master of Divinity. And I have been diagnosing spiritual anomalies since 1999. I look at the patterns, the symbols, the myth, and the history to get to the truth, because the answers are rarely on the surface. That's why we go deep into the hidden patterns, the symbology, the esoteric history, the anomalies, deep into the forbidden knowledge. We diagnose, we question, we investigate, we connect. And that's how we find the truth, because everybody lies.
Watch this millionaire pastor's wife accidentally expose him on live TV.
Why I don't care what people think about me, about what I have. Now, look at me. I am a very blessed man. Me and Kathy are very blessed. I mean, spiritually, physically, and financially. I've had more people criticize me over that jet. They still can't get over it. Criticize me over my house. They didn't pay for it. I paid for it. You understand what I say? All these different things. But let me tell you why. That's water on a duck's back to me. And I'm going to give you a scripture. And it's Psalms 49, verse 16. Be not thou afraid when one is made rich, when the glory of his house is increased. Read that and pull that up in the Amplified.
Well, it's Amplified says it, be not afraid when an ungodly one is made rich.
That's true.
When the wealth and glory of his house are increased, and goes on, for when he dies, he will carry nothing away.
Oh, yeah.
Did you catch it? He was misquoting the verse, and his wife busted him out. His wife busted him out on live TV. I've preached with Jesse before. Her Majesty says, oh, no, I went to see him. I've preached with Jesse before. And Jesse says he bought that house, but he bought that house with money that people gave him, like Cynthia. I'm just kidding. I didn't give him no money. Jesse didn't need my money. If I had Jesse's money, I would burn mine. And I was making 6 figures. I'm trying to help you out. If I have to smack you to help you out, I'm willing to do it. Just come a little closer. Come a little bit closer. So now we're ready, I think, to get into the D program. Yes, we are. I got to switch my slide deck. The lines are still open. If you're a Christian and you think I'm wrong, all you have to do is put your question in the chat, and I will bring you up live. But an amazing thing always happens. The Christians love to do this in the chat. It's called keyboard cowboy, keyboard warrior, keyboard cowgirl. But when it becomes time to actually call in and have a discussion, the dog ate the homework, I'm out of minutes, my phone battery's dying, I don't have my phone, what are you watching me on? And it used to be irritating, now it's just funny. Now I just find it funny. But we're going to jump into the D program now as soon as I find it. And tonight we're going to go deep into Jesus. Is Jesus a trickster God? Or is it even worse than that? Jeff, how could it get worse than that? Well, you are about to find out. I will leave the phone lines open. Let's leave them open right now just for Christian people to call in that want to take issue with me. And I will bring you up when I get to a good stopping point in the D program. We will throw it open live for everybody pretty soon. So, is Jesus a trickster entity? Jeff, what kind of a question is that? Well, there's a real possibility. of reading the Bible Jesus, and if you can prove that he was real without using the Bible, come at me, and you can't. There's a real possibility. James, are you saying that we'll see that Jesus is right? Are we saying that we'll see that Jesus is real? I hope you're not, because we've been waiting for a long time, and he still ain't come back. He still ain't come back, but we'll get to that tonight. There's a real possibility of reading the Bible Jesus, the Jesus character. I lovingly call him Plastic Alien Jesus. He is sort of a Loki reinvented, or at least he's a literary figure, and that's all he was a literary figure built according to that same ancient heathen mythic pattern. They stole. Shirley, you're a good person. I appreciate you saying that. Good for Shirley. So remember, Jesus as a historical character cannot be proven outside the Bible. And the Abrahamic matrix is leveraging our ancestral memory of all people, red, yellow, black, white, brown. We have our own gods, our own goddesses, our own ancestors. And they're leveraging our ancestral memory by stealing from our ancestral lore to create their figures, And even though Jesus wasn't real as a historical person, he is real today. Today, he is a powerful egregore. I did a whole show on that. It's right here on these channels. Look it up. He's a powerful egregore, and he's very real and active on the earth plane today. And the key to understanding this deprogram tonight is to understand that a trickster is not just a liar, not just a practical joker. Because at the mythic level, a trickster is a boundary crosser. Mark that down. It's a boundary crosser. That's a writer-downer who enters a rigid world, an established world, and exposes it, reshapes it, remakes it, overturns it, and creates a new world order from the disruption that he himself created. Takes people that are really divine, sovereign, and free, convinces them that they're born of the original sin and are in need of a savior, convinces people that they've got the only savior, and unless and until you're willing to bow the knee, become a living sacrifice, give up your mind and have the mind of Christ, die to yourself, and let Christ live in you, and take every single thought captive in obedience to Christ. That's the only way you can avoid going to a lake of fire. Yes, I do. Her Majesty's right. That's not really the purpose of the show tonight. So let's move past that if we can. I think that was implicit in me saying that he is, always using present tense with him. So this is exactly how the Abrahamic matrix has used and continues to use this Jesus egregore. That's how they do it. That's the trick. So egregore Jesus is by definition a literal boundary crosser. He was injected into our settled, peaceful, golden age world. And he created a contradiction to the ubiquitous, and that means everywhere, pre-Christian worldview, creating for the first time ever in human history this idea that there's only one God, and it's heaven or hell, turn or burn. Charles watching over on Rumble. Thanks for watching. Earth had never seen an exclusivist, proselytizing religion until Christianity. Not even Judaism was proselytizing. Folkish religion didn't care who you worshiped. In fact, if you weren't of their folk, They didn't want you aligning with their gods. And they wouldn't have permitted such cultural appropriation. The Jesus egregore overturns Earth's dominant categories of folk-based spirituality. And he created a new, highly disruptive new world order. Earth never knew a world war before the Jesus egregore in Christianity. And now we've had two working on a third. There's a guy named Lewis Hyde. He's an essayist, a poet, a translator. He's a cultural critic. And he wrote some really, really good things about the trickster and how the trickster is an outsider. Jesus said, I'm not of this world, and how the trickster transforms society. So is Jesus a trickster entity? Is Jesus a trickster entity? Yes, I think he is. And I'll submit for you tonight why I think he is. Hyde calls the trickster the figure who invades boundaries. Even the Bible describes Jesus in the book of John. Oh, it's right there, 8:23. Jesus said, I am not of this world. The word translated world is very, very important because Jesus didn't say, I'm not of this world. Jesus said, according to the Strong's exhaustive concordance of New Testament words, which Christians should be familiar with because it's what they got their penthouses hidden inside of. It's the Greek word 2889, and it literally means a universe, a universe. And this is exactly what Rabbi Laitman told us in his kosher disclosure.
In fact, we're not coming from here. We came from there. Like this. This is Israel at their root. So we went through such a route that took us inside by what's called the shattering of the vessels.
Shattering, breaking.
The shattering of the collective soul.
Shattering, breaking.
Who's the chief of staff that sent this command unit?
Him, the creator. Israel is a part of him.
And the church says they're Israel.
So, seemingly this chief of staff sent this command unit?
Sent the commando, gave them strength, gave them the connections, everything. And if they're connected to him, but they have no choice. He broke them. He shattered them. What does it mean? In order to put them inside the hostile land, he had to give them the same form of that hostile land. It's like we go into a country as an undercover team.
Spies, sleeper cells.
And each one of us is exactly like the people of the land. Say we're being now sent somewhere, Africa, for instance. So we'll take on the same shape and form of the people in Africa. The characteristics, traits, approach, interests, everything. The same exact form, inside and out. As we are there, you know, it's like an undercover agent. He is there for a while, no one touches him, he has to start working, build a house, family, everything is fine, okay, for years and years. After that, he starts doing something. He gets a reminder from outside.
Sleeper cell.
You got to start working. You know, he already forgot about it. And all of a sudden, they call him, here is your commander, this and this and that. You know, like in the movies. And like in Jason Bourne. And this is what's happening with us. We have to wake up we have to remember that we have a special mission. And really, this isn't our place. We're coming from a completely different place. So we have to find our friends according to this awakening. Did you get a phone call? I got a phone call. He got a phone call, and so on.
Judeo-Christian sleeper
as a group.
cells.
So from this entire planet, we are aliens. We're coming from a different galaxy.
We are not of this
we
world,
received
Jesus
this ray
said.
of light, this awakening individually, and now we're gathering as groups, starting to prep ourselves to conquer Earth. That's the mission. What? You don't see it?
How do we conquer it?
How do we conquer it? We're also sent the method. We're being shown everything gradually. We're being taught.
Sure.
Not taught, but kind of being trained, activated.
Like sleeper cells.
And then that emotion and mind awakens in us. But in fact, it's new to us, but in fact it's coming from our original planet. And thanks to that original natural force we have, we will take over. We'll take over those living on Earth. What are you looking at me like that? You don't believe what I'm telling you? I'm telling you seriously. It's even more than that. It's not a different galaxy. It's a different universe. It's a different dimension altogether. That's who we are.
My dad was a very wise man. Unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. But my dad is the first place I ever heard somebody say, when someone tells you who they are, you should believe them. And Jesus told us he was not of this world. So is Jesus a trickster entity? Hyde asserted that tricksters created our current world, and he's spot on. The Jesus egregore created this current world. Jesus literally brought a new world order of chaos to a peaceful earth. How do you like it so far? Carl Jung, the great non-Christian student of the mind, intriguingly described the trickster as a precursor to a savior. Jung says that it's the psychological foundation of the savior mythos. Hyde looks at the trickster as a cultural force. Jung takes it a little bit deeper and talks about the archetypical force arising from the collective unconsciousness. That's the definition of an egregore. Thought form, me by myself could create a thought form. Me and Cynthia could create a stronger thought form. But once you get 100, 500, 1,000, 1 billion people concentrating worship and intention upon a being, it graduates to an egregore, a powerful, sentient, independent, spiritual entity. And to Jung, Loki, Hermes, Coyote, Mercurius, and the literary Jesus, which was just like all of those other figures, they're culturally different expressions of a structure within the human psyche. That's an egregore. He wrote an essay called On the Psychology of the Trickster Figure. And Jung called the trickster a collective shadow figure. Jung actually identified the Jesus egregore as a shadow man. Wow. This is who you're worshiping, is a egregore shadow man. An egregore shadow man. The man in the video was Rabbi Laitman. Let's examine a little bit this theory of Hyde's about how tricksters make the world. That's his book. This could go a long way also towards helping us understand the whole simulation idea that I say is a psyop led by people that have been severely conditioned by MK Ultra Tavistock mind control. And that's what the new book that I have out is about, Assault on Aquarius. Go to bookpatch.com, just search Assault on Aquarius and you'll see it. I am convinced that we actually live in a real natural earth that's been overlaid by an Abrahamic simulation. The trickster makes this world brings to life the playful side, which was in Loki, and the disruptive sides of the trickster mythology. Interestingly enough, James, I did the wedding for Conway Twitty's daughter. Was it Julie? Julie, please don't cry. You'll forget me by and by. I did her wedding, so a little interesting tie-in there. Hyde tells us that the trickster is most at home on the road. He's most at home on the road. And the Bible interestingly records to us in a classic Greek double emphatic, because it recorded it twice. Jesus said, foxes have dens, birds have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head. This is trumpeting to you, if you want to open your ears and hear it and open your eyes and see it, that Jesus, the egregore shadow man, was perpetually on the road, just like the trickster. Tricksters live on the edge of town. Jesus lived on the edge of town. Tricksters are boundary crossers, slipping through keyholes or portals, as Rabbi Laitman showed to us. They breach walls. They break into countries. They subvert defense systems, and they're always lying, cheating, and stealing. The Abrahamic matrix, and the reason there's 3 X's in that is because Judaism was the first Abrahamic religion, Christianity was the second Abrahamic religion, and Islam is the third Abrahamic religion. Thus, AXXX, plus it's a tie to pornography, and we all know who runs that. So the Abrahamic matrix lies to our folk. To me, that's white people. That's my folk. And he lies to our kin. That's the red, yellow, black, and brown people that also don't buy the Jesus lie. They lie to us about our spiritual heritage, just like a trickster. And they're cheating us out, out of our spiritual inheritances, just like a trickster. Does that make Jesus a trickster? That's for you to decide. Hyde also says that the trickster made the world as it is. John chapter 1, which I did in the cold plunge not a day or two ago, tells us that Jesus is the Word was with God, the Word was God, and everything that has been made by him. This world was literally made by the Jesus egregore shadow man. He is a trickster. And that's why I put it in double X's, because he's a Judeo-Christian trickster, egregore shadow man. He crossed boundaries. He invaded a peaceful earth, and he made it what it is today. J. Bing says that Jacob was a deceiver, a liar, a cheater, and a killer. And all of these Christians today, specifically the Christian nationalists and the Christian identityists, they say they are Jacob. And they are. Liars, cheaters, stealers, and killers. That's the only way Christianity was spread, at the edge of the swords of the Christian Roman Empire. Jesus fits the pattern to a T. And by the way, the original cross was a T. It was just an upright post. And then they would put that crossbeam that they nailed you to on top of it. So it was a T. It was a T. Interesting, isn't it? Interesting, isn't it? Let's be careful in the chat. We need to remain platform compliant, please. In Mark, the book of Mark, which will become large in the latter part of our deprogram tonight, Jesus behaves as a destabilizing figure, just like a trickster, who crosses religious, geographical, and even social boundaries. New Testament scholar Brandon Scott explicitly described Mark's Jesus as a transgressor of boundaries. In the Gospel of Mark, the good news of transgressing boundaries, that's his book, that's classic trickster territory. Jesus was also the master of reversals. Jesus' sayings constantly reverse normal expectations. The first will be last. The poor possesses the kingdom. Turn the other cheek. If somebody asks you for 10% of taxes, give them 20% of taxes. The blind see while the sighted are blind. The rejected stone becomes the true cornerstone. That's not Freemasonic at all. Condemned criminals become the true king. This is mythic inversion. And this is the trickster's characteristic operation. Jesus takes the trickster position by destroying the established, ordered, peaceful, natural world of sowing and reaping and turning it inside out and upside down. Is Jesus a trickster? And did you ever notice that Jesus never asked a question straight? You ask him a yes or no question and you get a paragraph. You ask Jesus what time it is and he tells you how to build a watch. Jesus did the same. He never, ever answers a question straight. He did like Charlie Kirk did. He wouldn't answer that guy's questions. He would divert and subvert and change the frame. And that guy shouldn't have let him do it. He tried, but it was Charlie's meeting. Jesus constantly did that. And he does the same with the woman at the well, the woman accused of adultery, the question about paying taxes, questions about Sabbath observance. His opponents just want a yes or no answer. But Jesus won't give it to them. And that's what tricksters always do. They never answer a simple question. And did you notice that Jesus, he's supposedly giving us the message of the only God that everybody has to believe in order to avoid the lake of fire? Dagger says he wasn't straight. I think that's true. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But when asked simple questions, Jesus always responded in riddles, exaggerations, paradoxes, hidden meanings, and stories. He spoke in circles. He spoke in circles. Parables lure the listener into making a judgment and then turn that judgment back against them. Those are intellectual trapdoors, and that is classic trickster function. Jesus doesn't give his audiences straight information. He gives them ambiguous riddles, the rope to hang themselves with. And like the silly little trolley chain-smoking Andrew Wilson, who made the mistake of getting into a debate with me, he would never answer a straight question either, except when I told him, we don't want to be friends with you because you'll pretend to be our friends and then shoot us in the back. And he said, yes, we will in a second. I need to pull that clip and play it. Jesus never gave a straight answer. Your pastors won't give you a straight answer. Your priests won't give you a straight answer. They give you enough rope to hang yourself. Even the Messianic secret. Don't tell anybody I'm the Messiah. Classic psychological inversion. But the demons have said, we know who you are. He made them shut up. They made him shut up. Even his own disciples never understood him. His real identity was hidden beneath this character that was created. That's a masked God narrative. That's classic trickster, classic trickster. Jesus plays the supposedly powerless victim while secretly controlling the entire narrative. And I'm sick and tired. I'm sorry, I'm going to get a little politically incorrect here. I am sick and tired of listening to Christians whining. This is a religion that built itself and built world domination based upon marching out with an army and saying, if you don't convert, you die. And now, when Christians are facing some persecution, and I'm not saying it's right, I don't believe anybody should be persecuted or killed for what they believe, even if what they believe is nonsensical. But when Christians have the chickens come home to roost, and people are doing to them what they've always done to other people, now all of a sudden it's a big deal. And they cry and they whine and they whine and they cry about persecution, but it was okay when you were doing it to us. Now that somebody else is doing it to you, now it's a big problem. I'm sick of your whining. Save the whine for dinner. I'm done. I'm done. It's the chickens coming home to roost. It's you reaping what you've sown for 1,000 years. And probably the greatest trick of all of Jesus was supposedly defeating death by dying. That's probably the strongest trickster element in all of Christianity. Jesus supposedly defeats death by allowing himself to be killed. But unfortunately, the powers that did it, if it was real, and it's not, believe they captured him. But then that capture becomes the mechanism of our defeat. We should have seen it coming. But we got lazy and we got arrogant. Kylie says, give him some cheese to go with all that wine. Let me tell you about something I've never heard anybody else talk about before, the triple cross. The triple cross. The great cosmic bait and switch. James Newkirk says, hunting rabbits ain't so fun when the rabbits got guns. In spy lore, a triple cross works like this. There's one guy who's just an agent. Let's say he works for a religion, but he's secretly working against religion B. He works for religion A. He's of religion A, working against religion B. Then there's the double agent who looks like he's working for religion A, but he's secretly serving religion B. That's where we get that Jesus driving the money changers out of the temple. Jesus was a Pharisee, and he was just driving the Sadducees out of the temple. That was it. They were trying to take over the temple. But there's a triple agent. And a triple agent convinces religion B that he has defected from that religion, just like a lot of Christians are convinced that Jesus defected from Judaism, but he still secretly remains loyal to religion A, in this case, Judaism. Oh, Jeff, Jesus wasn't Jewish. Circumcised on the 8th day, attended all the feasts, attended all the festivals. And one of the last things that Jesus ever did was go to a Hanukkah celebration. He just convinced you that he was leaving religion A, creating religion B, and convincing you that he defected from it while he remains loyal to religion A, and then switches back to religion A after serving religion B, which is exactly what Christianity is. It's a triple cross. And that should sound a little familiar to you. On a hill far away stood an old Chevrolet. No, I'm sorry. On a hill far away stood an old rugged cross. No, there stood 3 old rugged crosses. All of Christian crucifixion, art, and iconography showing you these three crosses is screaming out to you, it's a triple cross. But somehow, in all this time, you've never seen it. They're telling you it's a triple cross. They're showing you it's a triple cross. Do you think it might be time that you opened your eyes? Do you think it might be time that you opened your ears? And isn't the cross kind of weird anyway? That's what they killed the guy on, allegedly. Do you think, well, let me ask you, if Jesus was killed by an M16, would you wear an M16 around your neck? Probably. I don't get it. I don't get it. You're smart people. You're smart people. So the triple cross functions as the ultimate cosmic bait and switch. Early Christian interpretations make this even more explicit because Christ's humanity was baiting the hook. He was never real. He was never human, but too many of my folk and too many of my kin have taken the bait from the fisher of men and are now caught in the trap. And I can't walk out because they love him too much, baby. Why can't you see what I'm showing to thee? You don't believe a word I'm saying. You're caught in a trap. You're caught in a trap. You've swallowed the hook, the line, and the sinker. And now you're hooked on the Jesus J hook. That's classic trickster mechanism. Jesus and his Father don't overpower their enemies openly because they can't. If we get together and march up that hill, they'll run because they're cowards and they know they can't defeat us. Would you rather march up the hill with just white people? Or would you rather march up the hill with white, red, black, brown, and yellows that also don't like that Jesus fellow? Why you want less people doesn't make any sense. They deceive and they outmaneuver us by projecting feigned weakness and victimization. Oh, Christians are being persecuted. They're doing to us what we've always done to them. We can't have that. Persecution's our job. They cry out as they strike us. Fuentes, Kirk, all these Christian nationalists, all these Christian identities, they say that as soon as they get in power, the first thing they'll do is institute the death penalty for apostasy. Jesus is sure starting to look like a trickster, isn't he? Have you ever noticed that? Jesus looks just like a fish hook. And his humanity, which wasn't real, is the bait that baits the hook. Oh, I believe Jesus was real. Even those of you that have pretty much come out of the Christianity still want to argue with me that Jesus was real. Somebody prove it without a Bible. You are caught on the fish hook. Why do you think he called them fishers of men? And do you know that there was no letter J until 1524, just in time for the printing of the King James Version? That means that Jesus' original name wasn't Jesus. There was no J. It couldn't have been Jesus. Which makes for a very vexing problem for Christians. Because Acts 4:11 through 12 says, Jesus J-E-S-U-S, Jesus, is the stone the builders rejected. He's become the cornerstone. See the Freemasonic imagery. Salvation exists in no one else. Riddle me this, Christians. There is no other name than Jesus under heaven given to men whereby they must be saved. Now, in case you missed it early, allow me to review. The J in J-E-S-U-S did not exist until the 16th century. The 16th century. Charles Clark, it's not a write-in show. It's a call-in show. The lines are open. It's on the screen. Call or hush. No cowardly drive-by evangelists. But thanks for watching. There's no J. There was no J in J-E-S-U-S until the 16th century. Now, I know Christians aren't good at math. They can't even tell me how a guy could die on Friday, rise at dawn on Sunday, and still be 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the earth. That math don't math, so I understand you have mathematical challenges. But this is the 21st century, okay? The 21st century. There was no J for 16 of the 21 centuries. Stay with me, Christians. I know 3 is tough for you, and I'm getting up to 5. I'm stretching your boundaries. 21, 21st century, minus 16 when Jesus appeared equals 5. 5. So, that means if there was 21 centuries, for 16 of those centuries, nobody could be saved because there was no J-E-S-U-S, which is the only name given among men under heaven whereby they can be saved. So only 5 of 21 centuries has salvation been available to people. 1530 is the 16th century, Raphael. So again, now you can't even add. I'm going to ask you to do multiplication. Maybe you got a calculator on your phone. For 3 times the number of centuries that men, there's 3 times the number of centuries that men could not be saved than the number of centuries where men could be saved. And you still want to believe it's real. You still want to believe it's real. For 15 of the 21 centuries, men could not possibly be saved according to the Bible. Only for 5 of them has salvation been available. And you say you serve a good God. Wow. That's the ultimate trickster triple cross. Here's a handy little chart for you to break it down. Shows how Jesus and Loki are very, very similar. You can stop the video later and go back and study this. Let's look at Loki a little bit. Let's look at Loki. Loki is a disruptive force that turns against order. Jesus is the disruptive force sent to expose an order already portrayed by him as corrupt, which was the original divine golden order of the earth. The trick here is that the order wasn't evil, It was golden age. It was all good, abundant, peaceful, happy, not governed by things on our wrist. But the Proto-Abrahamics order portrayed it as bad in the New Testament. And Jesus was part of that order. And the trick is that Jesus is hiding it. And he's preventing you from realizing that he actually came to trick you into joining him in rebelling against the original golden age order of humanity. Jesus and Loki are structural and moral equivalents. That's the greatest trick of all. Shirley, I'm not picking on you. I'm glad you're actually entering in. I wish you'd call, but when you're attacked with a sword, you need to parley with a formidable weapon. But Jesus said, those that live by the sword will die by the sword. Put it away. How do you deal with that one, Cheryl? We'll get to that in a minute. Thanks for being ahead of the curve. You're a smart lady. So the gospel writers even deepen the trick by creating additional characters to divide the trickster archetype amongst. Jesus just gets the kind of good parts, the boundary crossing, the riddles, the liberating qualities of Loki. And Satan, the bad guy, he gets all the deception and all the rebellion. Judas gets all the betrayal and the disastrous cunning of the trickster. Herod and the priest get the manipulative political calculations of the trickster. This is an Abrahamic storytelling device to purify the Jesus part of the trickster archetype. They assign the creative disruption to Jesus while exporting and projecting the trickster's other qualities onto Satan and Judas. It's so simple to see. So there's a lot of literary evidence that the gospel writers directly stole Loki traditions in creating the Jesus character. But the heathen god Loki, without a doubt, far preceded the Jesus character, so they stole him. And Jesus and Loki occupy the exact same position within the cultural grammar of boundary crossing, and Rabbi Laitman told us all about that. But Loki, the original Loki, he can also serve as an illuminating mythological type. And that's the part that Jesus stole. Both are boundary crossers, both destabilize, and both establish a sacred order to create a new world order. So they give Jesus the good parts of Loki, but don't give him any of the bad parts of Loki. Jesus was the ultimate trickster. He was divine, but he was human, they say, but he's not. He was a Jewish teacher, but you think he broke Jewish law. He was ritually holy, but he touched lepers, corpses, and even women on their time of the month. He was the Messiah, but he hung out with prostitutes, social outcasts. He was the king, but he's riding on a donkey. He was the savior, but he got executed as a criminal. You tell us he was dead, but now you tell us he's alive. That's crazy. That's crazy. Just like Loki, you can't pin that Jesus guy down. Loki appeared among the gods, but yet he was a man. He helps the gods, but yet he endangers them. Loki changes species and sex. Very Galatians 1:28 of him. Loki exposed hypocrisy while himself behaving treacherously, like Jacob and Jesus. He exposes hypocrisy while being a hypocrite. Sounds like Christianity, doesn't it? He can simultaneously claim to be necessary for divine order while destroying it. Jesus speaks and answers only with riddles and traps, never with straightforward answers. And that's the proto-Abrahamic template. Not outright lies exactly, but Jesus wasn't above that either. Do you know that Jesus told the people in Matthew 24, and I quote directly, "Some of you here will be alive when I return in the second coming." They're not. They're not. Jesus told his disciples they wouldn't even have time to evangelize all of the nation of Israel before Jesus returned in his second coming. He lied at least twice. In the mouth of two or three witnesses, let every word be established. These are unmistakable trickster tactics, verbal judo, reversals, ambiguity. And my dad used to always say, the devil's in the details. This is why when you go to church, like the guy that was upset, the kid with the long hair, and you ask people, your preachers, your priests, your elders, the questions, oh, you got to have faith. Just trust the plan. And if you are asking questions, you might have a demon. You might have a demon. Loki acted the same way. He never spoke straightforwardly. And here's another lie. Jesus was constantly saying how bad the Pharisees were, but Jesus was a Pharisee. Jeff, how do you prove that? Well, in the time of Jesus, there was two parties, the Sadducees and the Pharisees. The Sadducees did not believe in the resurrection. And when Jesus was alive, you had to be supposedly alive. You had to be either a Sadducee or a Pharisee to be a rabbi. 33 times in the New Testament, Jesus is called a rabbi. Not a teacher, but a rabbi. There's two different words. All rabbis were teachers, but not all teachers were rabbis. Jesus is specifically called a rabbi. Even right next to John 3:16, one of the few verses you can quote. And Jesus preached the resurrection constantly. So he couldn't have been a Sadducee. Had to be a Pharisee. That's why he was cleansing the temple, because the Sadducees controlled the temple and the Pharisees wanted to take it over. Very, very simply. Very, very easy. The Bible, Jesus is all the evil of Loki and none of the fun. He's a triple agent, egregore, shadow man, triple crosser. And did you know that both Jesus and Loki were shapeshifters? There's at least 3 times in the Bible where Jesus shapeshifted. They're going to throw him off the hill. I think it was in Nazareth. And he just walked through the crowd. The time on the road to Emmaus, he was walking with those disciples. They didn't even realize it was him. That's called shape-shifting. Just like Loki. And the crucifixion becomes the ultimate confidence trick. The Apostle Paul kosher disclosed it to us in 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 8. Paul said, if the rulers of the age, which was us, the heathens, we were ruling that age in AD 70. If the rulers of the age had understood the mystery, they never would have crucified the Lord of glory. No, we never would have allowed people to believe that he was crucified. We would have gone out of our way to say, we didn't crucify the guy. But who would have thought that 2 billion people would be simple-minded enough to believe that a guy existed, got crucified, took a dirt nap, raised after being in the grave less than 3 days and 3 nights, and that they would believe it, We were the rulers of that age. And unfortunately, We bought it, or we didn't come strong enough against it. Jeff, why are you so strong? Because we've been dumb too long. Jesus was the sanctified trickster. He's the one who defeated the golden age by deceiving us. But it's worse than that, because the triple cross never existed. He was never killed. He was never crucified. But the Jesus egregore has convinced so many of our folk and kin that he was, even though there's not one shred of proof outside the Bible, and the phone lines are still open, but nobody calls. Both Jesus and Loki were suspended between two worlds. Loki was captured and tied to a rock with venom dripping on him. Jesus was bound, tortured, and fastened to some wood in the story. Both suffered at the hands of the ruling sacred order. Both underwent suffering that will precede an apocalyptic transformation, if you believe the script. And both occupied this state of being suspended between the present world and its catastrophic ending. But Jesus wasn't even real. And that's the crux or the cross of the triple cross trickster. Amazing. Amazing. Loki escapes at Ragnarok and joins the forces attacking the gods. Jesus escapes death and will supposedly return to defeat the heathen forces attacking the invading false Bible God. Both Loki and Jesus become apocalyptic insurgents, and they hold mirror positions within different end-time dramas. Melanie, if you don't like it, feel free to take your ass on out of here. Both disrupt the prevailing world, the gods, and want you to believe they win, but they're not going to win. They're not going to win. Loki was defamed and used as a straw man for the Christian inversion. Christianity split the heathen, ambiguous, fun trickster into morally polarized characters. Jesus got all the fun and none of the evil of Loki. This is important. Pre-Christian myth constantly allowed divinities to be contradictory. They were just like us. But Jesus still uses disguise, secrecy, trickery. He still remains the trickster. Jesus curses nature, fig trees, storms, the old gods, even salts the earth, which kills it. Jesus says, don't ask questions, just trust the plan. Calls his opponents demons, hides who he really is, announces division while claiming to be the Prince of Peace, declares those that live by the sword will die by the sword, while promising in Revelation 19 to return with a sword to kill everybody that doesn't bow the knee to his regime. Have you ever thought that if you put away your sword, like Jesus said, put away your sword, and if you don't have a sword, you just got the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. When a guy comes back with a real sword and you got a book, guess who loses? It's almost like they planned it that way. It's almost like they planned it that way. Jesus wasn't just Loki under another name. It was far more sinister than that. He's a pirated, Loki-like egregore shadow man boundary crosser who destroyed a peaceful nature-based order, who vows to return in the victim suit of a murdered divine son, declares himself morally perfect, and wants to come and destroy our beautiful earth. He's truly a wolf in sheep's clothing. But the Abrahamic matrix is many things, but they're not stupid. They're master plagiarists. But yet in the end, Loki, the true trickster, actually helps us if we study and read, because he shows us the mythological lens of Revelation to see clearly that Jesus is a perverted trickster with two X's. Loki gives us the ammunition to see through the Abrahamic deception if we want to. So in this case, Loki is really the true savior, not Jesus. Jesus was a perverted Loki. But Loki gives us, if we understand the lore, the ability to see past Jesus and identify him for who he really is, the ultimate trickster God that you invited to possess you. To possess you. No, I'm not crazy, but you're a coward because the phone lines are open and you choose to yap your keyboard cowboy nonsense instead of calling in like a man. Or a woman, or maybe you're not sure. Let me expose the Jesus trickster egregore shadow man a little bit more. In Revelation 5 and 6, which adds up to an 11, by the way, you got to know the numbers. One of the elders, and some of you know of a book of the elders. I want to be careful on the platforms. There's a book about elders and their teachings. So the elders love Jesus. Jesus is the Lion of the tribe of Judah, Proto-Abrahamics. He's the root of David, Proto-Abrahamics. And he's the one who's going to open the seven seals, which are going to release hell upon our earth. Upon our earth. I get so tired of these Christians. They just want to yap, 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 but they cannot call in. Jesus is going to bring hell onto this beautiful earth. Then here's this lamb who's Jesus, who appeared to have been slain. Look this word up in your concordance in Revelation 5:6. Appeared means he wasn't really slain. It just was made to look like he was slain. It just looked like he was slain. Soul, put in your question. Just follow the instructions on the screen. Put in your question, and I'll read it and see if it makes sense enough to disrupt the deprogram for. Or you can hold on, and I'll open the phone lines at the end. You can call in without putting in your question. Now, this is where I really get in trouble. This is where I really get in trouble because I'm going back to the thing that makes me infamous. The Garden of Gethsemane. Are you ready for this one? The Garden of Gethsemane. The ultimate trickster inversion. No, I cannot put up the phone number, but you can follow the instructions on the screen, and then I'll put up the phone number. I'll put up the phone number when I open the lines. This is for Christians who want to call in. He just looked like a man that had been slain. He didn't really get slain. So the garden episode is universally seen as a time of great sorrow for Jesus. He was weeping bloody tears, sweat. He was so upset. It's one of the most sympathetic portrayals in all the Bible and really in all of Western literature. But what if this just shows him as the ultimate trickster? And what if Gethsemane was warning us and showing us a template of how the PDF networks work today? What if? Let's talk about the setup of the Garden of Gethsemane. Jesus and the disciples are going to the garden. And when you view it operationally, step back from the literature and view it potentially as an operation. New ideas will jump out at you. Matthew 26:36. We're going to go to some of the cross references too. We're going to go into the cross references as well. Thank you, Charles. Matthew 26:36. Let's break this down. Let's break this down. And everybody said, nobody wants to listen to you, blah, blah, blah. And the numbers keep going up and up and up and up and up. Then Jesus said to the disciples, you stay here while I go pray. Did they misspell that? Is it P-R-E-Y or P-R-A-Y? You stay here while I go deeper into the garden. And then he took Peter with him, one. Then he took the sons of Zebedee, which are called the sons of thunder. So he took his three most trusted bodyguards. Peter was a renowned badass, right? And he goes a little bit deeper, and then he says, hey, stay right here and watch with me. Watch with me. So if you look at this as an operation, what Jesus just did was to select a remote, guardable location. There was one way in and one way out. I've been there. Don't come at me unless you've been to the Garden of Gethsemane and walked to this spot. There's one way in and one way out. Shirley, can I suggest that it's not me that intimidates you? It's the message I bring, because I'm really a nice guy. And anybody that calls, I'll be just as nice to them and polite to them as they are to me. I only get surly when people come at me, and that's to be expected. So Jesus set up a remote, guardable location, one way in, one way out, and he set up dual concentric layers of security. He put 10 disciples on the perimeter, and he took 3 of his best bodyguards with him inside that outside perimeter. He's setting up an operation. And Gethsemane means the oil press. And we're going to go to Bible Hub and look at this. And I asked ChatGPT, actually the word Gethsemane comes from the word Shemin, and that rhymes with something. That rhymes with something. Kylie says I'm too nice. Well, I've been called a lot of things, Kylie, but I don't think I've ever been called too nice. It's been a long time. This is nice, Jeff. I used to be terrible. Terrible. So I asked ChatGPT, could Shemin, as used in the New Testament, possibly relate to the word it rhymes with that I don't want to say on these platforms? And the interesting came back. I said, can you use the Greek word Shemin? Because it was a Greek text. You know, Matthew's written in Greek, so I just assumed that it was a Greek word. But ChatGPT says, wait a minute, Shemin's not Greek, it's Hebrew. And I'm like, wow. Why is a Hebrew word inserted in the middle of a Greek text? That's a clue, baby. That's a clue. Why do they stick, somebody says like the she-man, why do they stick a Hebrew word in the middle of a Greek text? That's weird. Shemin means oil, richness, fatness. The ordinary New Testament word for oil is eleon. Why didn't they use that one? Why did they throw a Hebrew word in there? The Greek word for seed is sperma, from which we get the English sperm. And surprisingly, that word is used 43 times in the New Testament, but not there. Why did they stick? Why did they stick this Hebrew word in the middle of a Greek text? I'm like, how do I get it? So she said, my ChatGPT is a she. She said, no, linguistically, you can't equate it with the word it rhymes with, Shemin. But symbolically, someone could draw a comparison like seminary, where you have to go. Where you have to go. And she says, you might have been thinking of Gethsemane. It's the name from which the Semitic expression Gat Shemin comes from. It's inferential at this point, but curious enough to keep tucked away in the back of our minds. I think. There's an interesting correspondence, though. Oil was a substance of anointing, vitality, consecration. Semen is understood as a generative seed, carrying life and producing offspring. Both can symbolize life force, fertility, and transmission of potency. Hebrew religious imagery, now maybe we're getting to why they put a Hebrew word in there. Because Hebrew religious imagery connects oil and semen. And in the opinion of ChatGPT, which is just a big data cruncher of everything on the internet, a symbolic connection is genuinely available for esoteric and comparative interpretation. And that's what we're doing. We're just comparing for entertainment purposes here tonight. So Jesus said, watch with me, watch with me. What does that word watch mean? What does that word watch mean? We're going to go to Bible Hub, because I know that from my experience preaching on 5 continents, 40 states, the largest crowd I ever preached to was about 150,000 people down in South America twice when I was working with Jimmy Swaggart. I'm going to teach you how to study the Bible real quick. It won't be hard. It'll be illuminating to you. Watch. You'll enjoy it. So we're going to go ahead and pull up Bible Hub. I don't own Bible Hub. I don't get paid by Bible Hub. And in fact, I'd really appreciate it if you didn't tell Bible Hub that I'm using it, because they're probably going to get really mad at me. And I forgot what scripture text we're in. We're in Matthew 26, right? Well, this is a good object lesson because I forgot what scripture we're looking for, right? I forgot. And I just want to study this word watch. So let me show you how to do that. And I know you can't really see this much, but some people can. So I'm going to show it full screen. So I don't remember. I know it's Matthew 26, but I'm just going to pretend I don't remember. I'm just going to pretend. So let's say that we don't remember where it is, even though we know it's Matthew 26. We'll just put in the word watch. We want to put in the word watch. Oh, right there. Watch and pray. Well, I'm not sure that one's it, so I'm just going to hit enter. And then I'm going to go down here and put New Testament. And then I'm going to get all of the references that contain that word watch, right? And I know we're going through, we could go through all of these, but we just remembered it said, watch with me. So we're going to put in there, watch with me. Watch with me. And we're going to find, it's in Matthew 26. Okay, great. So now we'll go to Matthew 26. And he said, watch with me. Watch with me. What does the word watch mean? It means to watch, to be vigilant. It means to be on guard, to be watchful. So what Jesus was saying was, after choosing a place that was remote with only one way in and one way out, after establishing 2 rounds of security, he said, I'm leaving you guys here to watch and to guard. Wow. I'm leaving you here to watch and to guard. That's crazy. So let me ask you, if Jesus was just praying, why does he need so much excessive security? And if we recognize an odd Hebrew phrase inserted into a Greek text, is it too far out of the box to ask if it's inserted as a play on words? This opens up to legitimate esoteric questions, especially with the Shemin rhyme. So far we have a really weird rhyme. We've got extraordinary security. We've got a Hebrew word inserted into a Greek text. And we're starting to wonder now, because this is getting weird. This is getting weird. Now, we'll go back to the deprogram for just a minute. See, that's how you study the Bible. That's how you can find out what it really means. It's not hard. It's easy. You just have to want to do it. So getting back into the deprogram, going a little farther, Jesus fell face down. We're talking about an MK Ultra mind control frame. Going a little farther, he fell face down and he prayed, "My Father, if it's possible, let this cup pass from me." From a mind control angle, it's obviously plain in the text that Jesus didn't want to go to the cross in the story. This also ties us back to the triple X trickster cross. But Jesus says, "I don't want to go, I don't want to go, I don't want to go." But then he says, "But nevertheless, let your will be." Jesus obviously subliminated his own will to that of an outside force. That's mind control. Jesus then went back to the other disciples, found them sleeping, got mad at them for not guarding. Why couldn't you even guard for 1 hour? And then he said, "Watch that you don't enter into temptation, because the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak." And I want to offer something that's kind of controversial. Could this speak to the idea that not all of those that are involved in the PDF and the SA they weren't always monsters? Is it possible that at least some of them could have at least initially been hesitant to do these terrible deeds, but the offers for fame and power overcame their innate decency? And then Mark 14:19 tells us he went back again and prayed the same thing. "I don't want to do it." Twice, double emphatic, mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. Double emphatic, like verily, verily in the New Testament. He said, "Look, I don't want to do it," twice. But again, he says, "Not my will, but your will." And then he did it a third time. We're back in Matthew 26 again. So now we have 3 separate occasions where Jesus clearly stated in the story, it's not real, that his own will was not to go to the cross. And 3 separate times, just like the triple cross, now we're back into Hebrew territory. Because the Hebrew emphatic is a triple emphatic, like holy, holy, holy. And now we're getting to what Shirley brought up earlier. Then the story goes on, and Jesus says, some guy took out a sword, cut off somebody's ear. And Jesus says, "Put your sword away, because everybody that lives by the sword will perish by the sword." But yet Revelation 19 tells us that Jesus is coming back with a sword to smite the nations. That word means Gentiles, everybody that doesn't align with Judeo-Christianity. So he says, you shouldn't have a sword, but I should have a sword. It's kind of like Carmen's country. The military's got guns, the government's got guns, but the people don't have guns anymore. And what happens when you go to a gunfight without one? And to make my point deeper, Ephesians 6:17, which is all about warfare, he says, take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. Let me ask you a question. It's just a question. Is it possible that the helmet of salvation covers and dulls the human mind? I mean, you've already given yourself a living sacrifice. You've already said, I no longer live, but Christ lives in me. You've already said, I have the mind of Christ and not my mind anymore. You've already said, I take every thought captive to obedience to Jesus. It's exactly like double standards, exactly like double standards. So if one of Jesus's followers obeys his instructions and gets rid of their swords, relying only on the word of God, which is now in a book, won't they be unarmed when the sword-bearing egregore shadow man trickster Jesus returns to smite all non-Christians? It's better to face a people that don't have any weapons. And is it better to face an army with weapons? That's deep. That's deep. And then all the people show up to take him away, right? Judas gives him the kiss. And Jesus said, and I put it in the red words of Jesus. You ever wonder why those words are red, like blood? It's just a question. Jesus says, why did you come out against me as a thief? This makes it sound like he might have stole a candy bar. He might have stole a car or something if he was a real gangsta. But that word thief is mistranslated in the New Testament. Isn't that a surprise? Because the word is really leste. That's how you pronounce it. Leste or lesti. And it's not a thief. It's somebody that takes through violence, not somebody that sneaks in your house when you're gone and steals. A kleptes, which isn't used, would be like a klepto, somebody that steals your wallet or pickpockets you by deception. And Jesus certainly does that. But the word here is leste, a robber, a brigand, an outlaw who uses force. So Jesus said, why do you come out against me as an outlaw who uses force? He's showing you he is an outlaw that uses force. Because a leste confronts, it's kind of like a lestat. It confronts, it raids, it kills. And a lot of that includes, SA and the R word. To give you a comparison, the Good Samaritan fell among leste, who stripped him and beat him. Stripping will become large here. This is Jesus being the trickster. The word is probably pirate or armed plunderer. You know what plundering and pillaging is, right? Do you know what plundering and pillaging involves? And let's hope that Rooney didn't blow up the bathroom, because that would necessitate a brief recess in the deprogram. And by the way, the men crucified along with Jesus on the triple cross, there was 3 of them, right? They were leste. They were violent brigands. They were armed outlaws. He was crucified with his kind. They were criminal evildoers. So now we're back to Mark 14:51, and now we're getting to the juicy part. I didn't really want to say that way, but so Mark 14:51, this is a parallel passage to Matthew 26, talking about the Gethsemane scenario. Shirley says, you can't indoctrinate unless you know the text better than a blind sheep. And isn't it interesting, Shirley, that 95% of Christians never read the Bible? And the other 5% can't even hardly spell concordance. So there followed him a certain young man. He had a linen cloth cast about his naked body. What does that tell you right there? In the isolated location, with one way in and one way out, I've been there, behind 2 layers of security, there's Jesus with his 3 bodyguards and a boy that had somehow become naked, or a young man that had somehow become naked. Are you uncomfortable yet? Now, I have to say that young man doesn't necessarily mean a boy. He could have been as old as his late teens. And another fun fact for you, every one of the disciples except for Peter was a teenage boy. That's as good as it gets. Dagger, did you see the movie? When Jesus tried to enter the temple with his disciples, the guard said, you got to pay the temple tax. And only people that were 18 and older had to pay the temple tax. And Jesus told Peter, who was over 18, to go fish and get the temple tax for you and me. There was only 2 of them that needed to pay the temple tax, only 2 of them that were over 18. So how creepy is it that Jesus is running around with 10 underage boys? And this kid that followed him in Gethsemane was linguistically an underage dude. He might have been 17 and a half, but he was underage. Could have been in his late teens. But the secret gospel of Mark, which is a Gnostic writing, say this boy was a young man. And then he might have been associated with a nighttime initiation, a secret nighttime initiation that we'll talk about. Divine Heathen brings up accurately that at the Last Supper, which 3 Gospels say was before Passover, was on Passover, but John, the last Gospel, written almost 100 years after the other Gospel, says that Jesus was crucified on Passover. So what do you believe? What do you believe? We'll talk more about that secret initiation. Secret Gospel of Mark, fascinating document, modern biblical scholarship, talks about an advanced Christian initiation. It was discovered at Marsaba, which is a Greek Orthodox monastery. And these ortho bros, once you believe they're as pure as a driven snow, they got just as many of their priests being accused of bad things as any other Christian denomination. Don't let them lie to you. They found it hidden in a book called the Letters of Ignatius. And there was a handwritten letter by Clement, a great Christian scholar, writing to some dude named Theodore. And it talked about these secret initiations, which include the application of something that rhymes with Shemin. And other scholars saw the manuscript, but son of a gun, the manuscript got moved to the Greek Orthodox Patriarch's library, and it disappeared. They got rid of the evidence. And to this day, we don't know where it is. But Clement's letter said that Mark was said to have traveled to Alexandria and produced an expanded, more spiritual version of the gospel, an advanced initiation. And it says that Jesus went, raised a kid from the dead, and then the kid said, Jesus, I love you. Let me be with you. And you know what that means biblically. And 6 days later, the young man came to Jesus in the evening, listen, wearing a linen cloth over his naked body. And he remained with Jesus that night, and Jesus taught him the mysteries of the kingdom of God. A lot of people say that Mark was the one in Gethsemane. The Clement letter was written because this Theodore guy said to Clement, what about that naked boy in Gethsemane? Do I have your attention yet? And I think you can figure out what they did.
You idiot! You're being an idiot. You idiot.
Infection-throwing clots. House will shoot it down and call you an idiot.
Infection-throwing clots. You're an idiot. Except you're not an idiot.
Refusing to cooperate with us does not make you suicidal. It makes you an idiot. Two of you are friends. Look how you
I
both...
think you're an idiot. We both also eat with forks. It doesn't really prove...
Talk to him. Tell him how you feel about what he's doing.
I told him he's an idiot.
Tell him what you think about him leaving.
I think he's an idiot.
You're an idiot. He's in pain.
You're being an idiot. What kind of idiot wears Argyle socks with construction boots?
I'm not an idiot.
You're an idiot.
The DNR order was witnessed by Dr. House's own staff, Dr. Foreman.
My staff are idiots.
Really? No, you idiots. House is just screwing with you.
You sure you're using it right?
Do I look like an idiot?
No. Idiots are fun. No wonder every village wants one.
We do what House said. We test for everything.
Good. Then I can go home.
Since when does we not include you?
Well, House is going to call us idiots anyway. Might as well be a well-rested idiot.
You guys are idiots.
Are you an idiot? I'm House MD IV. So let's look at the text, the whole text, and nothing but the text. There followed a young man under 18. He had a linen cloth, just a linen cloth, cast about his naked body. The word cast about, I should show you this in Bible Hub. I'm going to do it. I know some of you are falling off, but that's okay. I'm going to show you this because you won't believe me if I just tell you it's there. Are you idiots? We're going to go to Mark 14:51 in Bible Hub. Are you ready? Remember how we use it? Remember how we use it? This is what I do, guys. This is what I do. Mark 14:51. We're in Matthew. So we're going to hit the drop down. We're going to go to Mark. We're going to go to this drop down. We're going to go to Mark 14. And then we're going to go over here and we're going to go to Mark 14:51. And we're in the straight, this is not a translation, this is a transliteration. This just tells you what the Greek is, and this tells you what a direct English translation is. So this less than 18-year-old dude was following Jesus, but there's something hidden here because it was somebody that would regularly accompany Jesus. It was somebody that regularly followed Jesus. It was one of his regular followers, probably Mark, who wrote the secret Gospel of Mark. Clue number one, he was following him and having cast. He clothed, he put on, he wrapped around, he surrounded himself. He was naked. He was naked. And he wrapped this thing around him. That'll become huge. He wrapped it around him. He didn't put it on. He wrapped it around him. Clue number two. And he cast around him a linen cloth. Do you see the word right there? A shroud. A shroud. Jesus' super expensive, woven in one piece shroud. Clue number three. And he cast this shroud, he put this shroud around his naked body, naked, bare. He was jaybird naked, naked as the day he was born, in a secure location with one way in and one way out. behind 2 layers of security, alone with Jesus. Why was a naked boy in that scenario with Jesus? And he threw what was Jesus's linen cloth, I'll prove to you, around his naked body. Wow. So Jesus was naked too. Jesus was naked too. Nobody does it better. I am the best in the world at what I do. You're beginning to see why I'm not on Joe Rogan. So, John 19:23. When they had crucified Jesus in the story, they were dividing up his stuff, but there was that linen tunic. They didn't want to tear it up and divide it amongst themselves because it was really valuable. So they gambled to see who would get it. It was the same tunic from the garden, the shroud. Why did I play the house clip? Because there's your shroud of Turin, you idiots. You believe the egregore shadow man triple cross trickster Jesus who was naked in the Garden of Eden with the boy. And they really can't make it any more plain to you. Jesus, you got some splaining to do. The biggest scandal in the Bible, spiritualized by Christians. Oh, snap. You can say that again. Oh, snap. Oh, snap. Hold on a second. I'm going to take a super quick break. I'm going to play you a little song, and I'll come back and open the phone lines. BRB in like 1 or 2 minutes.
I've been in the
Who will stand with me against these lies, against these ludicrosities? Yes, we'll do Rod questions too. I don't know what your Rod question was. The phone lines are open. The phone number's on the screen. There's nothing holding you back except your willingness to pick up the phone. Give me a call, y'all, if you dare. You don't have to agree with me. You just have to be polite. You have to be interesting. That was the point, Charles, of the looking at Gethsemane like an operation. That's exactly what it sounds like to me. Here comes a call. I think it's Jim. Always like to hear from Jim. Oops, crap. Jim, call right back. I hit the wrong button. But in the meantime, I'll share the screen. So when you do call back, we'll be able to pick you right up. Call right back, Jim. I hit the wrong button. Sorry about that. Got to share the screen so they can hear it. I didn't go on Rumble because Rumble won't broadcast live to TikTok. So, I like those rogues. I started out with the 4s. I'm up to the 15s now. What does the Christian whistleblower mean? Well, the first time I was on Coast to Coast, I got to call them tomorrow. First time I was on Coast to Coast, some guy called in on the phone and he said, "You're the Edward Snowden of the New Testament. You're a traitor." And George Norrie says, "Jeff, you ought to grab that." And I did. I'm the Edward Snowden of the New Testament.
Call from
Jim, you're live. Sorry I missed your last one. Hit the wrong button. Go ahead, brother.
Oh, no problem. I hit those buttons wrong all the time myself. You talk about Jesus, about the J.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you and I both got that hook in our names, but
yeah, we do.
But the language was supposed to be Arabic, so the J wouldn't actually be pronounced, and they would use more of an H. But just my brain playing this little games with it. But
and that's possible.
It sounds like yes, us. Instead of Jesus, but yes, us. Like yes, us follow God.
Yes,
or,
us.
Using
Yeah,
that one just kind of struck me funny when I've heard that, and I've always kind of thought to myself that it almost sounds like that's what they're saying. But we're talking. Are you there?
I'm here. I'm with you.
Okay. You talk about the AI in the churches. They had those 1,000 years ago.
They had AI 1,000 years ago?
Yes. Emit information in the conversation in your booths the Catholics had.
Wow.
To confess. That's exactly what they were doing. And they would take all their information and they'd use it behind the backs to control the people. And when they hear a business is going to do well, they had people invest into them. So it was a way of making a lot of money without people realizing they were using that information against themselves or those people.
It's always sounded like it's a con game, getting information to leverage on people.
Yeah, it's always been a con. But I was going to tell you this one story. I have to say, since they were talking about the kids.
Please.
In restaurants.
Careful. Oh, okay, perfect.
Oh, I will be. Yeah. I raised a little boy since he was about 3 years old until he was about 14, 15. I dated the mother and they lived with me. And he was a little brat when he was a little kid. And they decided they're going to live with me. And I told her, I said, look, this is my house, my rules. I don't care what you think you're going to do with your child in my place, but if he's out of line, I'm going to jump him. And she said, okay. So anyway, long story, at this point, he's about 8 years old or 9 years old. So I take him to the restaurant every Sunday. And if he ate all this food, I'd buy him a dessert. And he loved the chocolate cake with ice cream and fudge and whipped cream, all that kind of stuff. And he ordered dessert, so I ordered it for him, and I finished. And I stood there looking at his dessert, and I asked him, I said, can I have a little bite of your dessert? And I reached over with my spoon, and he pulls it back to me and goes, no, it's mine.
Ooh.
I said, what did you just say? He said, that's mine. I said, so you're saying you won't share your dessert with me? He goes, no, because it's mine. I went, oh. Now we're in a nice restaurant, people all around. I took my glass of tea, I stood up and poured it right into his dessert.
Oh, my.
And he goes, okay. I said, now I want you to understand something very clear to me, boy. I said, one, that's my dessert because I paid for that dessert. And I am paying for that dessert to give you as a gift. Now, until you eat it and put it in your mouth and swallow it, that's the only time it's yours. and so he started to cry a little bit. And then a couple gets up from their table. Everybody's finishing dinner. And one couple went by and go like, that was amazing what you did. That was just amazing. I thought they'd be pissed off. And they walk off, and another came up. And they gave me a great compliment. And another came back. And they go like, dude, that kid will never forget that. So it was like a couple of weeks later, 3 weeks later, I didn't buy him dessert the other 2 times. So I decided to buy him one. I was going to test him. So I got him a dessert. And he was starting to take a bite, and I asked him, I said, son, can I have a little bite of that dessert? He goes, oh, yes, sir, you just have all that you want. So that was hilarious. But, he had to learn the lesson about where the money came from and what kind of gift he was giving, and I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Can I tell you a little story that didn't end quite so well for me?
Sure.
I was in the restaurant with my son, Joshua, and he was probably about 10 and maybe 8. But at any rate, I was a strict parent as well. And he was messing up, and I gave him the stare, and he kept messing up. I told him, Joshua, you're going to get it. And finally, he did it again. So I picked up my butter knife because I was just going to pop him on the arm with it.
Right.
And I pick up my butter knife, and he yells out, no, don't cut me. And all these people look at me holding this knife, and there he was. He didn't get hit with the butter knife, but he got a licking when he got home, brother. So,
well, that's the problem with young kids. They're not worried about punishment, and so they feel free to act any way they want to act.
But he never.
Anyway,
did
I'll
it
let you
again.
back. Yeah, I'll let you back to your show, brother.
Thanks, Jim, and we'll make sure that we get your regular segment next time. I just was scrambling here today. Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem, man. Not at all.
Thanks,
Have a good-
brother. All right, the phone lines are still open. 913-228-2586. 913-228-2586. Just be polite, be interesting, and be platform friendly. We did get over $100 this week. So either Thursday or Friday, we'll have a bonus D program. I don't know what it'll be about because I'm kind of out of material. My dad would have taken the ice cream and beaten me with it. Yeah, I was under that type of parenting too, and that's good parenting. So we learned a lot of things tonight. I presented you with a lot of information tonight. And I know a lot of it's shocking. And I know a lot of it can get on your feels. But I think the Jesus character even said, if I become your enemy because I tell you the truth, are you mad at me for telling you the Bible? We got another caller coming in.
Call from Shirley.
Shirley.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Shirley, welcome to the D program. I promise I'll be very, very nice. Shirley, are you there?
I am here.
You might want to.
I'm here.
You might want to turn me down in the background so you don't hear two of me. But please, let us know what
How's
you're
that?
called for. That's perfect. Go ahead.
And I'm just calling to say I am absolutely on board with everything you say. I have followed you for a really long time.
Oh, thank you.
I think we met way back on the bus.
Did we really?
Yeah, a long time ago.
In what state?
So, you were doing the Sunday morning with Wayne.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, a long time ago.
I miss
But no,
Wayne.
I think you're. Yeah, I haven't been on the. I don't get on the bus very often. I had a really weird dream about the bus, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have to follow, my discernment and just
Smart lady.
go. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. But just like your Trickster God thing, you're absolutely on. You're on it because you can't deceive people unless you have, a mischievous heart or whatever. And I think you're right. I mean, none of my unindoctrination comes from like any real teaching from, I haven't sat under anybody that's unindoctrinated. So all my stuff comes from what I've studied. And oh my gosh. So
That's the best way, Shirley. That's the best way. I salute you for doing that.
But my head is full of it. Do you understand that? Like I was raised in a religion where I was forced to memorize the scripture for sport. So I think I have a pretty severe form of like Asperger's syndrome. So I memorized the book and then I'm trying to, I'm coming across to all these people questioning them on all their inconsistencies and stuff as a child, and that doesn't go over really well. Like I saw that naked young man on Jesus's lap when I was probably like 7, and it didn't go over well. It didn't.
Shirley, remember, you're talking to a guy that was a preacher for 25 years, a Bible college graduate. And
yeah, I know.
It wasn't easy to get from where I was to where I am, and it certainly wasn't profitable. So, like Bill Clinton might say, I feel your pain.
No, the whole religion thing though is for profit, and the Christians are their sacrifice. And every time the church, I think it all has to do with that stuff where it's the money, it's the trust, it's the church being able to be accountable for people's money. I think it's all for profit, and it's sick.
I think you're right.
They all got their hands dirty. I mean, it's sad that I had to go through things and like witness them firsthand in order to have the scales like peeled off of my eyes. You know what I mean? Like it's very painful, but you can't go, nobody can convince me otherwise because I've seen it with my own eyes. And that's better than me trying to just explain it to somebody. And then like talking about the Bible, I mean, the only thing I have to show somebody where I'm coming from is their own scripture, because that's the only thing they're going to listen to.
Great point.
They're not going to let me go get a book from somebody else. They're not going to let me go get the Septuagint. They're not going to let me go into any other, of the other false textbooks, just to try and get them to see it my way. I mean, it's their punishment for believing in Jesus. They don't get it. They're worshiping this false God that's angry with them and actually is punishing them for believing in Jesus. And he tells them over and over, that's why Jesus tells them, you better choose this day who you're going to serve, because you can't serve the Abrahamic God and serve me, because you're just going to live in misery and punishment.
I couldn't have said it better.
Unless you're doing evil, and then you're rewarded.
I couldn't have said it better myself, Shirley.
I don't have a single person in my life or anything that thinks the way I do. I mean, I come from the ministry. My parents were ministers. My father was a Messianic Jewish, called himself a prophet. I mean, it's just like, and they look at me like I have 6 heads, not just 2 heads, but yeah.
Hey, I really
But it's good
appreciate
to
you
hear. It's good to
calling
hear
in.
it.
I appreciate you calling
Well,
in.
thank
Don't
you
let it
so
be the
much.
last time, okay?
Okay, it's late at night for me, but I caught it tonight, and it's good to hear you. Keep telling them how it is.
Shirley, it was great to hear you. Thanks so much for calling in. I appreciate it. See, I'm nice. Calling in here is just like slipping into a warm bath. I'm as cool as the other side of the pillow. I'm just a big teddy bear. The only time that I get ornery is when someone gets ornery with me. So just be nice. It's the Thumper rule. Remember Thumper on Bambi? He said, if you can't say something nice, don't say nothing at all. We don't go that strong. I mean, you can say things that are contrary to what I believe. You're welcome to, but appreciate Jim, appreciate Shirley. 913-228-2586. 913-228-2586. Just be like Jim and Shirley, polite, interesting, and platform friendly. We'll wait a couple more minutes to see if we have any other calls. I love this guy, Tan Hawk Group. I keep doing what I do, Tan Hawk. It's not something I do, it's who I am. And I just keep going. And I still am convinced that our best days are ahead of us. It's our time. It's tough being the OG, and I'm often imitated but never duplicated, but a lot of other people making a lot of dollars off of what I started 12 years ago. But that's one of the problems of being a pioneer, right? Because the pioneers take all the arrows, and that's okay. That's okay. I'm all right with it. I've made my peace with it. Doesn't mean I don't do everything I can. You see all the content I put out, the shorts, the multiple platforms. We're trying to get this message out because we need as many people as possible to hear this. And again, I'm not trying to convince anybody to believe what I believe. I just love people enough to tell them the truth. And nobody else is going to tell them this truth. They're just not going to do it. So it's my job, and I love doing it. I go to sleep at night thinking about this stuff. It's so bad for me. It's so good for me that I have to keep a book next to my bed because I wake up and I write down things that come to me in my slumber. So you may not like it, but what you see is real. And Carmen, great comment. That's why we win, because we keep going. The only way we lose is to stop fighting. And unfortunately, for a long time, we stopped fighting. And it's time to fight again. And in this particular place we're in now, our weapons are not of, they're not physical weapons. We're fighting a spiritual battle. Would it be easier for me to go along and get along? Yes. Would it be more profitable for me to go along and get along? Of course. But I got to look myself in the eye. And a little confession, I was a preacher for 25 years, but I knew I shouldn't be a preacher about 5 years in. But when you're making 6 figures and the church is providing your house and your car and your clothes, you got kids and a wife that are eating 3 meals every day and hooked on it. I wish I had found the strength to take my stand earlier. I didn't. That was my fault. I'm never going to make that mistake again. I do remember Brother Nathaniel. I actually had a phone conversation with Brother Nathaniel probably 3, 4, 5 months ago. He was a very nice gentleman. We had a great conversation. You've seen us spar on media. He is a gentleman. He's a nice fellow. He even said he lives in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, where I pastored my first church. He said, Jeff, come back here and start a church. You're going to get saved again, and we'll start a church together, and we'll take over. And, well, we didn't do that. We didn't do that. But, yeah, I do know Brother Nathaniel. We're on friendly terms with Brother Nathaniel. And that's, sorry, new nicotine pouch. But I do appreciate him. So there you go. What happened to Derek? I think Derek is still out there. I think he's mainly an ex guy. He's probably, I don't know anything else more about him than that. But Derek and I also talk. We're on friendly terms again. We buried the proverbial hatchet. So again, we don't align on a lot of things, but that's okay. He's a smart guy. He's a talented guy. And I got enough problems worrying about keeping Jeff Daugherty straight. So I try to keep it like that. We could do a show on the jackets. That's funny. That's funny. Well, it doesn't look like anybody's going to call in anymore. I'm going to go ahead and close the phone lines. So the phone lines are closed. I'm going to close the Bible Hub. We're going to wrap this up. We're going to wrap this up. We'll have a bonus show this week because we got over $100 in donations. Thanks to Mark for being the guy that did that. Deprogramming Christ as a historical figure brings more understanding of his teachings than liberalizing his existence. That's an interesting way to look at it. I take exception with the using of Christ. It's the word Christos, which means the anointing, the flow, the ability to interact with divinity and be a tool of divinity. So I think Christ should be called the anointing of the flow because it's not a proper name. It shouldn't have been brought over into English. So even by using that word, we kind of build the egregore. So I try not to use it. But thank you for the comment. And that's for sure. It'd be very difficult to do what I do without Cynthia, and hope I never face that challenge. She's a good woman. She's a smart woman. And I really do appreciate her. Thanks for being kind towards her. And y'all always are. And Carmen, I'm right with you. And I got the Irish blood, 5% German flowing through my veins. It would be easier to give up. But what's the fun in giving up? Like the great Horatio said, everybody dies. The thing is to die well. And how much better can a man or a woman die than facing impossible odds, and we are, for the ashes of our fathers in the temples of our gods. I'd love to stay here. I don't have to get up in the morning, but I understand that we probably can't go all night, though, or we still got a lot of people in here. I do love you. I do appreciate you. I still got to get in the sauna. I got to weigh in the morning. I'm hoping it'll be 185. So, we do appreciate you. And I really do truly love you. And Derek used to say, I love you all very much. And I used to think it was so corny. But now I get it. Because I do love you all very much. And that's why I do what I do. It's not easy being the best in the world at what you do because you can't settle for anything less. And that's why I got to do some work tomorrow. That's not this work, but that's okay. It's part of the deal. It's part of the deal. So, with that, we'll go ahead and start into the wrap up portion of this deprogram. If you take nothing away from it tonight, oops, I probably can't, but let me see if I can catch this. You might have to call right back. I'll take your call because I want to, but I don't think it's going to come through on this round. I don't think I caught it soon enough. So call right back. Call right back, and I'll take your call. Maybe I shouldn't because it might not be a good one, but it might be a good one. So if you'll call right back, I'll take your call. But you got to call right back because I was already in the out mode, baby. But call right back. Looks like you were calling from either the 480 or the 434. If that's you and you want to call back right away, please do so. Please do so. If not, we'll go ahead and wrap it up like I was going to. But trying to help, but you keep doing your thing, pimp. I will, thanks. I will, thanks. All right. I'm going to go ahead and close it down. I'm going to go ahead and close her down. I'm going to turn off that ringer so I don't hear it again. So, let's get back to where we were. What do you say? Let's get back to where we were. Tomorrow night, Friday night, not sure which, we'll have the bonus deprogram because we reached the $100. And I appreciate that very much. And we'll do that every week if we do hit that mark. So, back to where we were. Can I start this over again? Yeah. All right. So as I was saying, you take nothing away tonight. Take this. What if you've got the spark of divinity within? What if you're divine, sovereign, and free? And don't have to go on bended knee to somebody else's savior. What if you're part of the last generation of real humans and you can get off your knee and be divine, sovereign, and free? Because we're winning. And this world's going to be better than it's ever been, sooner than even we imagine. Because we're waking up to who we are. I salute you for being here seeking after truth. I'll see you over the next couple nights and again on Sunday. We love you. We appreciate you. And you know we'll be back. Take care. I appreciate you all. Good night, everybody.